So we'll call the meeting to order at 1:02 p.m. and we'll start with the moment of reflection. Okay, I'll now read the Indigenous acknowledgement. We would like to begin our meeting by recognizing the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples of Canada as traditional stewards of the land. The municipality is located within the boundary of Treaty 18, region of 1818, which is the traditional land of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Wendat, Wyandotte peoples. We have no members of the public with us, but we do have some guests, which I will introduce when we get to that agenda item. So first up, we'll approve the agenda. So may I have a mover for the agenda? Chris, seconded by Lori, that the agenda September 18th be approved as circulated, including any items added to the agenda. All in favor? Carried. Is there anybody who wishes to make a declaration of pecuniary interest? None. We have several reports to be received as information, so I'd like a mover, Sean, and seconder Joanne, that the board receive as information the 2025 action plan status report, the strategic planning committee report, and the Q2 statistical report. All in favor? Carried. Previous minutes. So may I have a mover for the minutes? Seconder, sorry, Carol, and then Lori. Were there any changes or? We had a few that were made online, so. All right, so all in favor? They're carried. We have no business arising and we have no deputations. We do have some correspondence, but we'll leave that until the end, and we will move to our strategic plan updates and action items, number F. The first up is the presentation on the town emergency management plan. So welcome Chief Khan and Diana to our meeting. Maybe we could just go around and introduce, and I'll start. So I'm Julia Scott. I'm the chair of the library board.
Joanne DeVisser, I'm the vice chair.
Laura Bliss. Carol Beckman.
Chris Beckman.
He's me.
Generally, CEO.
So we're really pleased to have you here today. We've our emergency plan and our responsibilities that's come up a few times. So we thank you for coming and for sharing the presentation. And I guess we'll turn it over to you and then we can have some dialogue.
Perfect. So I just put together like a really quick PowerPoint, just to kind of go over everything. Jen, she read it for me. The biggest reason we are here is within our emergency response plan, we have an emergency information plan. I'll try my best not to acronym you all to death because we get to that point where we get using the acronyms all the time.
It's the emergency services then.
Yeah. The fire thing, so.
Between police, OPP, everyone's at their own window, but you know, even truly comes from the nursing, I'm sure you had lots of acronyms as well, so if we're talking something, then please by all these ask us.
Yes, for sure, yeah, open questions and discussions, this does not have to be very formal, so. Like I said, we're gonna just review the emergency information plan. So implementation of the emergency plan leads to the implementation of the emergency information plan. We can say why. So it's important that we coordinate and release accurate information. I'm sure everybody is well aware of Facebook and Twitter and how things can quickly get out of hand. So that's our biggest action item for having this plan. And it also helps to streamline what is sent to the news media. issue instructions to the public, respond to or redirect individual requests for or reports on information concerning any aspect of the emergency. Minimize chance of conflicting or damaging information. So just quickly, we did have a meeting with so Emergency Management Ontario has representatives for each section. So they were doing some training with us. And one example he used was that he used to be a CMC in Mount Forest. And somebody picked up and said, I've seen a tornado in Mount Forest. They put it on Twitter, and then it blew up from there. So they actually went to the scene and assessed, and the Northern Tornado Project people came. There was no tornado. So just with that little bit of information, the whole thing blew up.
There was one person's tweet that just went like a mushroom cloud, so just how things get out of hand very quickly, right, so.
Mhm.
And we're all familiar about Facebook and Twitter, and I'm not sure a lot of you like the Snapchat, but my daughter does quite a bit. So just making sure that we have that correct information is the most important thing. Especially if we're having to do evacuation center or through the ice storm. This is something that we could improve on, but like Swiss Meadows was completely without hydro, so they didn't have cell signal, they didn't have hydro. Around other areas too. We did go around and do wellness check, but we kind of missed the mark because we didn't leave flyers. So people weren't home, we knocked on the door, people weren't home, so we just kind of moved on. So that's something that kind of came through the debrief, like just that dissemination of information to those people is just so important. This week I went to a presentation that Aurelia did for their ice storms, and they had completely no hydro at all. And they say that what they would have done maybe in the future was go around, it sounds really, really funny, but we go around like with a bus or an ambulance and just say to people, you can come to here for the evacuation center, because you couldn't communicate with anybody. Cell towers were down, they didn't have hydro. So the importance of having a plan is great. We can always plan, but we can't always plan for everything. So if we can at least streamline some processes, that's really good. So next slide, please. So again, I don't want to do too many acronyms, but there's positions within the emergency information plan that we have. So we have an emergency information officer, which is the mayor. She's not around, it's usually the deputy mayor. A site media person, spokesperson, and that's usually OPP. So we have direct contact with Sergeant Canal right now, so he would be our site media spokesperson. We have a citizen inquiry supervisor, and that is Jen Murley. So, or she can designate that to an alternate. And then we have an emergency information coordinator, who is Alan Gibbons, and Tim Hendry right now, or a designated alternate.
The site media spokesperson, can be fairly fluent on scene, so depending on the nature of the emergency, whether it's a fire-related emergency, I would probably be the spokesperson or the deputy chief if I was fulfilling the role in the town as the fire chief at the emergency operations center. Then it might be the deputy. It could be OPP, or it could be even someone from EMS if we're talking about like a large casualty incident, something like that. So depending on who's kind of the lead of the incident on what that would change, and then eventually it might just come back to the OPP, as they have time and personnel to fill that role, but they would just be taking the information from whoever's on scene as that from the commander of what's going on. So sometimes it can be fluent.
So who would be the person to appoint alternates? Would that be the emergency information officer, or would that be the overall incident commander?
So for the site media spokesperson,
Yeah,
it would probably be the incident commander, whoever's on scene
Okay.
first. So, as the emergency starts, it would probably be, maybe a single fire truck and then 2 fire trucks, and then, as they get on OPP on scene, and then EMS, and then if we're looking for those specialized people, whether it's Enbridge gas or hydro or the rest of it. So we would have that communication on scene, but usually there's always essentially someone in that I put the air quote command role that is in charge.
Okay,
And then they're communicating back and forth to the town at the control center, or the emergency control group is what they call it. And then they'll be providing resources to the scene of what that would be for, dump trucks and chippers or portable washrooms, and, could be food and could be any of those things to support the site.
I have a question.
Thanks, John.
So in Jen's role as assistant supply supervisor, she would identify her own designate, I would assume? Or would it be somebody else that's not connected to the library?
To be honest with you, I don't think we really have a designate for Jen right now. I would assume that it would be somebody,
Somebody within your staff.
A manager,
Yeah.
Given
if
that
I were here.
yeah.
That's what I would take this as someone within your staff that would be, staff testing, someone that has access to the building and the fills your role when you're not built.
So my other question is, who is the commander of the whole thing? Who's the person in charge?
It's gonna depend on the emergency. So that's what we're talking about, for the site media spokesperson, it could be a police driven or fire driven or something like that. So they're giving the information to the town emergency control group. And then the mayor would be giving that information out back through like Tim Hendry and his group, right? So there's some information that will be shared from the site, there's some information probably will be shared to the public, right? So.
And is that, I know Jen showed us the big binder, so is that like in your binder? Where
Yeah.
like if it's police related, this person would be in charge and it'd be a whole. And then if it's like fire related, okay.
Yeah,
So within the plan, everybody is assigned their roles and responsibilities according to their current position. The reason we put our designated alternate, just because the emergency could be 2 hours, it could be 7 days. So that was another thing that they kind of learned from the, City of Aurelian thing. They had maybe one person and one alternate, but because it's so long, they needed to have actually 3 or 4 people for that one position. But within our municipality, it's just not
Yeah.
feasible. We don't have enough staff to do that. So that's why we kind of do the designated alternate, because you don't need them.
So my other argument is in training, so is there any training that would be, like Jen, have you had any training? And your designated alternate would have training or?
We've definitely gone through the plan as a group, but we haven't done a mock sort of emergency yet.
well, to initiate this building be set up as the media site.
Yeah.
We've done mock emergencies where we've done a number of tabletop exercises through the year, but we haven't initiated one where we've activated this building as a site. Yeah.
Is that planning in the works?
could
That
we?
could be up to conversation with.
I'm very interested because in my previous role, I was director of the occupational health and safety branch and had occupational
okay.
responsibility for
Yeah,
emergency management. And I know the tabletop exercises you do, but then when you're actually in an emergency, if you haven't done all of that prep work,
Yeah.
you're like chicken wing around.
Yes.
It's not really hot in the middle of an emergency.
Yeah. No, we met with Tim Henry and Alan Gibbons, and we also had kind of discussed this, and that was kind of what came up too, right? Is the library board aware of your role in an emergency? So that's why we thought it'd be a good idea to come here just to let you know.
It's more than aware, it's also having the tools and the means of making it happen.
Yeah.
And the reason that this site was chosen, or dating myself 20 years ago or maybe more, was that, that was back when we were even in the old town hall, sorry, to date myself. But anyway, so the reason this building was initiated at the media center was to, if there was a large event, we did have a tornado back a few years ago, we had the landslide a number of years ago. We had the 5 teenagers that were killed a number of years ago, and there was significant media within the town. So at least if global CTV, CBC, and the rest of them know if we're coming to the town where they should go and set up. So if they're bringing their band into town, that they can put their little satellite antenna up and start doing those media releases from there. At least that's one location that they're sent here because of the parking lot and the building. That if the mayor was able to come here and do a quick media debriefing, then they can do that quick little, 10-minute debriefing, that means you can get their soundbite and then move on. With the new, well, not new, but with social media, those tend to happen more often because media doesn't just go on that. We have a story at 6 o'clock, right? Like years ago, it was, we need the story by 4 o'clock, so we're prepped for 6. So right now, it seems to be happening more often quickly, so, but at least having the site available that those folks with the bands and stuff can come in and set up and they can get their own little news clip and then they're staged here rather than town hall or the fire hall, which is obviously going to be working and active, right? So.
We were wondering about, what was the question we had before about, there was one we were talking about just before about, and I'm just gapping now.
Was it why I was here and not town hall?
No, not that.
The needs.
Oh, do you expect the library would shut down its normal operations? Or would it depend?
I think it's probably gonna depend on the scope of the emergency, so if it's something that you can still accommodate your staff and your, as I say, continuity of business,
Patrons,
so your patrons can be in continuity of business, if it's not being, you know, overrun by that many news media people, then, you know, it can probably work in.
So,
What's the role of the emergency information coordinator versus a citizen inquiry supervisor? And also wondering what's the direction of information.
We want to go to the next slide, Jen?
Okay.
Please. So it's right there. So within the citizen inquiry supervisor role, they designate the personnel and telephone lines for a citizen inquiry service. They would work with the EIO to get the current and updated information, and then inform the different establishments, including media, other town staff, and other appropriate agencies of the service and telephone numbers. And then, again, respond and redirect inquiries pertaining to people in evacuations and reception centers.
so
Is the emergency information officer the emergency information coordinator from the previous slide? Or am I misremembering the previous slide? Emergency information coordinator.
Yeah, there's a different one.
So you're talking about that emergency information officer sort of being the mayor in this case?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But what is the role of the information coordinator then?
The coordinator's the one that, sorry.
Coordinator is going to circulate it and make sure that we have consistent messaging, so. But that's gonna come through Tim Hendry and his group of like Alan Giddens or his staff, so that way the town has consistent messaging going out, that we don't have. Say, for example, the mayor stating a story and then somebody else stating a story and oftentimes like, even council at this point, taking Councilor McKinley out of his role of being the library board. So Councilor McKinley will get his debriefings from the mayor, deputy mayor, because they sit in the operations center.
Mhm.
But some of that information they're receiving will be confidential as well. So then, you know, as they're receiving questions from, our residents, they should still direct back to the emergency information coordinator on what information they're giving out, rather than saying, yes, this is what we want the rest of it, so.
Exactly, like, sort of to piggyback on you, Chief Gallen, is like, so basically the mayor, like the coordinator or the staff, they're the ones that are gonna write everything. And the mayor's the one that's just gonna read it, right? And she'll be the face of it, or whoever the designate is, they're the face of it. Staff are the ones that will disseminate and write the information. So if I was the, you know, the library board designate, because I'm the library board designate, whatever, then I would only be able to, you know, report on what I've been given. And I don't deviate, don't get off the tracks, stay on what's on the page, if that makes it any easier to kind of digest, right? It's not as if the mayor would be saying, well, you do this, you do that, and you do this. Those days, well, Chief Collin was here, not the date yet, but there was a day, there was a time when the mayor did that. Now they follow the plan.
Yeah.
It's been.
A number of years ago with the flooding in Peterborough, there was a lot of misinformation that went out in the public, even from town staff and from council, that it took a lot of time for, and I use the word damage control, because, you know, with the flooding that was happening, there's probably very little infrastructure that could ever take that amount of water away in a timely manner. But there were some counselors that were asking questions in the media, it's like, did you know if these pipes were undersized? Yes, we knew these pipes were undersized years ago, what should have happened, so then people are saying, the town knew they were undersized. The town knew there was a problem, they didn't acknowledge it and the rest of it, so they're trying to keep, you know,
We'll stick to the script.
strict to the script, and yeah, don't go off, because
Yeah,
people are gonna hold you accountable to what you stated in that 3-second clip on, yeah, the pipe was undersized. Well, it was undersized, but there's, you probably would have taken water in those, you know, like the downpour we had here in June, so.
Yeah.
our 100-year infrastructure was not prepared for the 500-year storm that came.
Yeah.
End of story.
Even through the ice storm, like we want all communication sent out by one person. So like Alan would put it together, Alan and Tim would work on it together, they would send one email out. We didn't want direct operations sending an email out to council and then Tim Henry sending an email out to council. We would just want one stream of information, so.
Fire chief said this.
Fire chief said
So
this.
can we go to
That's
the
why fire
next
chief
one?
doesn't work anymore.
Did that answer your question?
If we go back to the slide,
Yeah,
what I'm hearing is the source of the information, but now I'm trying to figure out, so is this to receive the influx of questions from our citizens and then Jen's role, or is to redirect that?
Citizens from, quite often, they could be internal in the town, and they could be citizens that are external in the town, because they're trying to get a hold of their family maybe are displaced of the area where the emergency is, so they're just looking to get a hold of their family. And this will be the person that will be taking that information and then passing that along to whoever's at the evacuation center. So whoever's at the evacuation center, there's a person that does registration and inquiry. So people coming into the evacuation center, we're taking down their names or addresses. And so that way, whoever's doing the inquiry at this end of it can get a hold of the evacuation center. Yes, we have Mr. and Mrs. Smith here that are accounted for, they're fine, we can make that connection.
so is the expectation then that, Jan or somebody would be on that phone constantly
I think she.
monitoring the phone and being dedicated to that line?
Or she delegate staff to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think,
Yes.
I think.
and I'm just thinking of, again, the readiness of the library to deliver what needs to be delivered on your phone. So she would need to have a dedicated staff member. Then during, now, assuming that it's for the busy emergency, sometimes it may be that bad.
Some emergencies are very fast moving, some emergencies are very slow moving, so allow you time to ramp up into those positions too, so. But
But again, if you think of business continuity in the sense that the library is still operational, then you would have to have that staff taken off on whatever their role would be to monitor that dedicated line.
yeah, and again, it just depends on the emergency and the scale of the emergency, right? Like, if we were like Aurelia and had no power and it's totally different animal than something that's just within Swiss Meadows, right? So,
And then, so that person who's doing the phone would be the one who would have all the updated information as well, with the very driver calls, the inquiries.
yeah,
So that would need some training.
for somebody that's, well, for someone that's just inquiring from a distance saying, I have parents that live in the Blue Mountains, I'd just like to check, well, the power ranges between these streets and these streets, are your parents affected, are they not affected, and that type of, just answering those generalized questions.
And is the expectation that our telephone infrastructure is just to use what's already here? Or?
I believe that we discussed that and there are like enough telephone lines that come into the library.
So if we're looking landline, fashion, but it would be like a dedicated landline then for that would, and then would it be an emergency number that people would know, like who takes that information?
But it probably has to be decided at the time of what the number would be to give out.
So it's impossible to have all of the answers because the emergency could be so many different scenarios.
So that's why you do a whole bunch of mock exercises.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like this role in utilizing this building probably wouldn't be something that would happen within the first few hours of emergency. We're talking, maybe a day or two afterwards, after the prolonged event, and that's when it would be ramping up. More, so
But if the power is down, wouldn't all phones be affected?
that's why we're looking at a backup system. But that's a conversation for, yeah.
Very good question.
Okay, Joanne,
Coming, just coming back to the point about social media, and again, this is about us understanding resource needs, so it's one number that's released, but social media is burning up, suddenly they find out, oh, the library is where you can get the information, so suddenly, and again, I'm not sure in the binder, is there, the town of Blue Mountains, like information, Facebook page, or is that's kind of, so anything that's coming to us, our social person is automatically feeding it back to the town and not responding? Is that kind of just so I understand?
Yeah.
Or was there an expectation to respond? If it hasn't been decided, it's just a
Yeah.
question again, because that's, that's that extra time, so. fine.
Certainly not Facebook. I understand that only certain people within the town have access to Facebook. I can't post anything to Facebook, through the town,
I'm just
so.
using that as.
Yeah, no,
Because
no,
of the
it's
age
a
of
good
the book,
question.
because
It's a good
it's
question.
more
Yeah.
Facebook than
Yeah.
WhatsApp, but
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
But like the chief said, it just depends on the emergency and the timing of the emergency.
So I'm just curious with the comment you made that the library probably wouldn't be pulled in unless it was a longer term emergency. But if you're sort of thinking the press would set up here, are you thinking that maybe the emergency isn't large enough that it would attract the press to come up here and have to set up, or?
Yes, and we've had emergencies where it depends on the scope, but like for the mudslide, the press came to the site because they wanted pictures of mud on the hill, so anyways, they come in, they took their few photographs, we get them the press release to put out as part of their story, and then that was pretty much dissolved right away. So the tornado years ago, we did the press release on site, that's back when Alan Anderson was the mayor, so again, the media just wanted to be on site to see, grab some quick photos and then never have to do it again, so.
So we're just redirecting questions to appropriate agencies or people, we're not trying to answer them.
Correct. Yeah.
Unless Alan provides the key messages, then we can share.
Key messaging, stay on script. Yeah. But I think most individuals, they want to dial down quicker because how does it affect me? And how does it affect my family? How does it affect my parents? So it's, so if you have aging parents in the community, well, how's it affecting them personally? Do I need to come north? Do I need to, so.
So the expectation for press, then they would come with their own crew and everything, so they wouldn't actually be in the library.
No,
They
we're
wouldn't
just,
be looking for a room to set up or.
no, most of the time they have their vans, they're self-sufficient, so that's like, we're just looking for washroom facilities, which right now. Cause they're been, right now they're better off in their van than they are in before.
So we don't want any emergencies until the washing.
Yeah. Doesn't work that way, unfortunately. I'm gonna just go, if there's, no other questions with that one.
Okay, so just one more. So there's no expectation from the library that the library is doing any coordination with the media.
Correct.
Okay. And that would be through town hall and communication.
Correct, yeah, so Tim and Tim's group would be very busy.
Good.
As with most emergencies, communication usually, or even inquiries, inquests that have happened in the past, usually communications is one of the first three bullets that should have, would have, could have done better.
Yeah.
And just kind of going over the slide again, like Chief Cohen said, it's nice to have separate space beside town hall. Here's some more information, why it's good to have the media center here. It informs the public where to go for essential updates. We like that it's off-site of our emergency operations center. You generally don't want the media hanging around your emergency operations center. And the fact that the library is a trusted community hub, and it's adaptable and community focused, and you guys support a lot of vulnerable populations, so.
I have to laugh because we're getting that benefit even from somebody parked in a parking lot. That's pretty good.
Yeah, so.
The only other thing I would add is we all, as library professionals, are also trained with confidential information as well and sign all of the same agreements as town staff in terms of the information we have access to, which I think adds to it as well.
So again, thinking legislative if there was a number of media here, then we get into traffic control issues or like if they're thinking, again, this is not new again, we've got cars parked in the parking lot because there's patrons using the library. Well, the expectation would that would be code for everything, and the answer from there, but
Again, it would just,
Depends.
it just would depend on the scale of the emergency, it just, actually, you don't really know what you're going to get, right?
And
I would hate to see that we would turn around like patrons during an emergency, but.
as long as the library's not part of the emergency.
Right, so, yeah,
well, if it was, then we'd have to pivot pretty quickly at the control group with, you know, with the mayor and the CAO and a number of us that sit in that meeting, and then we would have to have those quick decisions on, well, what's plan B and is it appropriate that we go there, so.
Would you say a flood? Right? Get to the high ground.
Well, so even for example, right now, before the new fire hall is built, our, secondary EOC, Emergency Operations Center, is at the wastewater treatment plant down at Great Leaf, because it does have 24-hour backup. It has a very small meeting room, lunchroom. It's not ideal, but at least it's a spot where if something was significant in this area of town, then we could use town hall as our meeting place, then we could go together in the town, have our meeting place. We've got generator backup, we've got our tables, chairs, binders, everything there to make our communications work and still be, you know, back to our business continuity of continuing on.
and if that is affected in the emergency too, we would find another place.
When the expectation is when the new fire hall is built, we'll be using that facility as well. It's not great having the fire hall as a facility because it's a working fire hall. You've got radio equipment and crews coming and going, but the way that the building is going to be designed is going to be like a separate training room for the firefighters, and that will be the room that will be used for the emergency operations center. So a little separate from the operation side of the building. So.
Well, I guess one of the benefits of the library is it's not a first responder anyway, so.
Yeah.
They're not intimately involved in dealing with the emergency.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't really want to be first in because that's terrible. You're better off to be fifth. First in the end, that's far better. Someone's already looking at it. In my experience, being first in, it's, yeah.
Chaos.
And then just one more slide, just the obvious, so sorry, just go back to media center, sorry, Jen. Just, you know, a media center needs electricity, internet, computers, communication tools, staff skills and information management, which we have through Jen. A meeting room that is suitable for press briefings, if we need to, and they have the telephone lines coming in. So that is why a generator or some sort of backup power, would provide those needs in the power outage, so.
Which we do not have.
Which we don't have.
Which you do not have.
Which we'll update on after.
We're working on it.
There's been a few scenarios. Happy to work with Jen to finally see it through.
So putting the generator to the side, do you think is the library set up and how big is set as an, as this or? And I think like meeting rooms is pretty much the same meeting.
It probably would be good to plan for a mock of something where we would need to be a very active, or like it would be big enough to require a media
Yes.
center.
The thing we struggle with every year too is staff time, right? It's difficult enough to get 2 days of training and then the tabletop exercises, that's what it comes down to, unfortunately, is just the people that are on the emergency control group are the most busy within the town, and to start asking for like additional time from them is sometimes frustrating and difficult.
Yeah, the senior managers and
Mhm.
directors. I wonder,
Did the towns that have had, the libraries that have had, the cyber breaches, did they declare a state of emergency with the cyber attack?
Not to my knowledge. I mean, it would have really affected library operations, but I'm not really sure how that fed into emergency management it would feed into the business continuity policy and plan, which
Oh,
I'm
yes.
working on, which I should probably actually run past, the chief and Diana too.
Something I was thinking of was, if Diana through her contacts through Merchant Management Ontario, if there's been a community where they've, stood up their, media center and, if you can connect with whatever that municipality would be
Yeah.
and then take their, after action report and what they did and.
Yeah.
Kind of give lessons
Yeah.
learned.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really,
yeah.
really helpful.
Because, you know, otherwise you're kind of going into what if, you know, if there's a municipality that stood up their, media center and what they've done, then that would be.
Yeah, that would be helpful. That would maybe give us a bit more of a clarity, yeah.
Understanding what's needed.
It would also be, if you could find one with what?
Sorry, what did, sorry,
If
Lori?
the media center work with the library in another municipality, that would be good to know. Do you have that information?
Yeah, no, I certainly can get that information and we can work towards getting, like,
So it'd be good for, like, one if it was a library or if it was an offsite meetings. Because basically that's what the library is, the offsite meetings.
yeah, yeah,
It wasn't necessarily the library, it would be ideal if it was the library.
Yes.
Ideally, but then you just look at your business continuity plan and how that aligns with the media center. If they're both running parallel.
Okay,
I totally welcome this discussion and
Thank you.
suggestions. I've only been in this role for about 5 years and we really hadn't had a big emergency.
Don't say that.
But I'm fortunate that, you know, Chief Khan's been here his whole life and worked here and grew up here and he's always willing to help and share information and honestly, I'm open to any discussions or suggestions.
We're trying to run.
Yeah.
Not yet, chief, not yet, not yet. No, and I'd just like to say is that the fact that, like, Lori, you've been on the board the longest, no offense, but you've had the most tenure with the library board.
Yeah.
And Chief Khan's been in the fire department for 36 years. What I think is really important is that today we've changed things today just by having this conversation. Because I don't think it's ever happened,
Oh, no.
ever. In 30 years of this library having been established, I don't think we've had this conversation. So I'm super happy that we're all on the same team and we're all moving forward together. And even with the discussion, you know, starts with the discussion, you know, the old, you know, the adage from the airborne division was fail to plan to fail. Well, we have a plan, you know, and if we're going to train, then we'll train, right? Or run a drill. Just takes this conversation first. I think it's fantastic. Because,
And the generator is the next.
well,
That's even better.
Yeah.
the power supply, that's coming and that's really exciting too. As Chief Khan said, we went through his times with 3 CAOs and,
Trying to get it off the ground.
try to get it off the ground, but now it feels like now we're like I was saying before, when we're talking about budgetary things, we're moving the needle now. We're gonna keep pushing that. Let's not stop.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Really appreciate it.
And again, just to, not to play the generator side of it, but even just to if there's a power outage in the community, the availability of putting it through social media, or radio, that if you need a heating center, warming center, cooling center in the summertime, that the library is open and then what better need than, you know, if you have a senior in their home somewhere and it's too hot, they don't have air conditioning, then come to the library, grab a book, spend some time and stay cooled off until the generator gets repaired, so.
Yeah, we've done that, like, we did that in the summer.
Yeah, it's more of a business goal, just fun, so.
Right.
Said, all you needed was bottled water, I get bottled water.
Yeah, we need water fountain, but
Yeah.
we'll fill it with that.
Oh, yeah, that's next time.
Sorry, that's
Good morning, guys.
Yeah.
Just so that these people, we did at the provincial level, so we had like a dedicated operating center with freeze-dried food and everything, so there would not be the expectation that the library would provide anything like that to the media. It would be on your own.
Yeah, it would be self-sufficient on their own.
Yeah.
At town hall, Diana does have all sorts of snacks for us, so we're gonna be there for hours, if we need to, then we can order something or see what's available.
Thanks, I think my house, my car.
I just thought it was
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeremy rations.
That's great.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, enjoy the rest of your day.
Fantastic, you too.
Hope it's quiet.
I'll go grab Phil, I just messaged him.
So just before you, I just have a
Okay.
question.
Just-
It's okay, go you guys. I didn't break it. So do you have a business continuity plan set up in case this happens?
We do have a plan. Part of the annual plan this year, though, is to actually have a policy and bring it to the board.
Okay.
So I'm hoping to have that ready for the November meeting, and I'll likely involve.
And then my other question was, would the board actually need to be involved in that business continuity plan development, or is that something that's under the previous CEO?
I think as a plan, the board doesn't have to be involved, but I think knowing the expertise we have on the board, it's definitely something I would like to bring to the board. But also as information too, but I would like feedback on it.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, no, that was good.
Yeah.
I'm still more relieved on the expectations are a lot less than what I thought they would be.
Yeah,
That's all it takes, is a conversation.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And plus two, right, through the policy, you could also designate your designate. Should you
Yes.
be, you
yeah,
can probably work that in there somewhere too, or sub designates, however you want to put it.
we do have in our fire plan that should the CEO be incapacitated or whatever else, Elisa, the manager of technical services, is the designate. So we do have that built into some of the plans, but making sure there's consistency across all of them, I think will be definitely something I need to work on. And just obviously being more up to date with the plans too, and
And I can see why they don't want the hub to be the fire station or the police station.
No,
because
it's-
that's
no,
what
it's
they
not.
want to do. But the parking lot town hall, I wasn't gonna phrase that like that, but I guess it would also be.
There isn't much of a parking lot at town hall.
Well, it's not much of a parking lot here.
There's the triple one on the parking lot that it started out with. See that picture? See the parking spots behind?
Oh.
And then the blue around? That's not because they were just doing an abstract thought. That's how much parking was here
Oh,
30 years
really?
ago.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Okay.
because people were active and they walked everywhere.
Okay.
You guys remember?
Just a logistics question, is there like a decision tree? So the fact that he was saying, like, we're not, the first place, it's only if there's a big event, et cetera. Like, is there some sort of, if it gets to this level, if this happens, then media will be designated to the library, do you know? if
The
they-
command center would do that, that's why I asked.
Well, I'm just wondering if they even say, like, do they have some parameters at what point, so you'd have a heads up, things are happening.
Yeah,
Okay, this looks like we are going to be the media center, let's get it's just a question, you don't have to answer it right now.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering.
off my head, it's definitely not
It's probably listed as
official, but I think it's kind of built in broadly.
a discretionary tactic. That's what it'll probably be listed
and
as.
then I got the impression like the command center would be the mayor, the fire chief, the police chief, the CAO. And they would.
See, that was what was missing, is we didn't see the overall.
No, that's right,
But it's
because all you saw
right
was
there.
the slice of.
Yeah,
the media
yeah,
center.
so that was, yeah,
So there would be a command center.
Yeah.
That the mayor would be running,
right.
and then everybody's would be sitting, and
Or
then they
her
make a
designate,
call as to, okay, is
Whoever-
it?
The mayor would be there.
Yeah,
The mayor's not calling any shots. They're there.
The CAO?
The CAO would probably be
well, that's
involved.
why I asked who is the command,
I
I
think
think
if
it
you go,
depends, right? Who's
down,
around and who's.
but
on
it doesn't
call.
matter, it
No,
doesn't
it's-
declare.
sorry, not down, sorry, the first slide that talked about, so I think the site media spokesperson, oh, right, sorry, who's actually in command, I think what he was saying is, so if it's a fire emergency,
Then it's the charge.
essentially then it's the fire chief.
Yes,
If it's
yeah.
something else, it's that department.
But there would be
It's
a
the-
group that would get together right away,
Yeah,
and then
you're
have
right.
a discussion, and they would say, it's a fire, and they go, okay, you're the
You're
command
the
person.
Right.
Or it's a
Healthcare,
healthcare,
Yeah.
you're the,
yeah.
but there would be, and that's why.
So there's a higher level.
And I'm sure
structure
there
to
is-
see.
Yeah,
in
I
that
think they're
whole-
the emergency control group.
Yeah, the emergency
Yeah,
control,
yeah.
the ECG.
Okay, let's move on to,
Thank you.
Bill.
That's
really great.
Very good, yes,
I can get Phil.
I don't know where he is, he might be in my office.
okay,
Just accept the question.
Oh.
yes.
He is here.
While we're waiting, the correspondence, were there any, questions or comments? May I have a mover?
My only question was, do we need to agree to anything or it looks like, yes, we want to. I would say.
For the chief's presentation?
No, for the regulatory proposal and the connectivity act.
I was just mostly sharing that as information.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a mover, Joanne, seconder Lori, all in favor?
Do we want to do anything to say we support it as a board, or
Sorry,
which one are we talking about?
FOPL, well, both FOPL and the OLA did not indicate that they wanted any sort of action at this point, so I don't think from an advocacy standpoint, they need anything from us. It's just mostly sharing information and having it if we have
Just so we
to,
know it's coming.
yeah.
okay, so motion is carried. Okay, welcome. Thanks for coming.
If we could just pause for one moment, I just want to make sure Franz got all of that correspondence.
I would never be accepting meetings, but it's nice to meet you.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Got together.
We have some mutual connections and we sort of see each other. It's always in this kind of setting.
Okay, Franz is good. So I will pull up. We do have some slides, which I will share after the meeting. I believe I'm starting on page 13.
It's the easiest one. I mean, I give the pictures are just photographic detail of what was. The architects basically just wanted an understanding and just we're adding to the report. So really, we know what the place had looked like. We want to talk about what it's going to be. So 13 is where we start.
Okay.
With respect to the space, we can't enlarge the physical environment anymore because of the mass of the building. So, we're gonna do everything possible to enlarge the space and the functioning space within the washrooms. For example, the size of the washroom stalls, the turning radiuses. Where you see the circles basically is the architect doing the numbers, seeing how they can turn within this person in a wheelchair, a person who's disabled, needs to move through the space. So the major bottleneck in this situation was the entrance, which we've moved, and we've counted a 30% increase in space. Now that to me is a very arbitrary way to look at it. But what we know is that there no longer will be the janitor's closet in the front. There won't be two separate entrances, and the span between the doors will no longer be two, it'll be single. So a wheelchair can easily flow within the two spaces. Additionally, we'll get about, 5% increase in space between the wall and the stall or the sink, which will obviously increase the ability for people to pass through the wheelchair to move around. The stalls will increase about 6%, which doesn't sound like much, but it's enough to bring to current standards. We won't be able to meet future because again, we're working in the space, but I don't think that was the goal. The goal here is to get as much as we could out of the current space. Yes.
I just wanted to say that from an infection control perspective, not having door is very good to go in.
It gets better.
Does it get better? You gonna put copper in there or what?
Well, the fixtures that we've selected are touch-free and
Excellent.
so there's gonna be less contact overall. Again, we found about 12%, call it 10% increase in space around the corners. And these are all sort of architectural metrics that, are good for presentations, but from a functional perspective, we will see a difference. That's the key thing here. A big issue that we had been dealing with going into this was where would we relocate the janitor's closet and the hot water tank electrical panel, specifically electrical panel, to would be, and we decided to move it to the receiving area, and we selected that back corner, right there.
The dungeon.
It's the dungeon. And there was a few areas where we thought we could put it. Ultimately, we decided to push it against the back wall because they gave the staff the most use day to day. And our maintenance staff aren't there all the time, so they can get through the catalog of stuff and we'll get there. A bit more on the electrical panel. For whatever reason, the original designers buried most conduit underground. So there's a large feed that comes in from the town, and we'll call it A, and it feeds two sub panels. One that feeds one side of the building called the library and the books area, and then the other side is your human gallery with this area of art and all that stuff. Very interesting to bury it, given that there's no basement, so there's no access. So once it's buried, it's buried. So we decided to we're gonna abandon that whole run of wire, and we're gonna run cabling across the roof, and it's gonna be along with all the other cabling, because our gas and other HVAC runs on it. Does two things. It simplifies this process, and it also gives us access for future repairs and future work. So say we do an addition to the building, now we're running power from the source over the roof. We don't have to deal with this situation again. And we entertained breaking concrete, moving the wire, but in original cable run, there's a lot of runs. I don't want to have to go back and say, this was a problem, we didn't have enough wire to move this panel, and now we have to add a junction box on the floor, which would eliminate or would give us that added tactile surface with a van door on the bottom. Probably we don't want that. So there's a few problems that we got around with that, and I think it's just easier. I was talking to electricians, and I don't think they understood the scale in which we're working. They're giving us these sort of cheap, quick fixes, and the answer was no. Well, let's do this right now, because the problem would be is if we do that, then we run into a problem. We're gonna be going again, and so now we're gonna double our costs, and we're gonna get the same result.
Yeah.
So that was.
So there's no risk to abandoning something underneath?
Well, the wire is essentially, now it's just, it'll be cut where the supply is from the panel, we'll call A, and
Oh.
going to, so it's just basically,
Got it, so it's
it'll
just,
be inert. There'll be no power. And there's a few things that eliminates the junction box that we were talking about, where the top circle is, where the entrance is, we'd have to have an 8-inch extent of thick wall to house a junction box. And then there would be like an access door there, the junction box, which is again problematic. We don't want users opening a junction box, right? That just seems like a situation we don't want. So we just run the cable on the top, and it just drops in where the receiving area is. It's the most refined solution that we've come up with.
When there's no risk or snow or anything with it?
Well, you have tons of, you have rooftop units, you have gas lines, there's all kinds of utility infrastructure on the roof already. So, I mean, personally, I would like to be able to see all of this stuff. I don't want to pretend that it's fine and it's out of sight. That's the biggest issue, I think, in any situation. So, I mean, it's not, I wouldn't say it's a benefit, but it is something that improves the operating of the building. Here, next slide, please.
And helps future expansion.
And again, you want access to these things,
Yeah.
right? Like so again, the new chase wall, new ceiling finish and lighting, new wall finish, new floor finish, all those features will take into consideration accessibility in the form of lighting, color contrast and so on. So and Unity is excellent. You truly get what you pay for. And I think Unity is one of the best architectural studios when it comes to focusing on the details. So they will do a good job of doing this, and, next slide, please. Okay, this is a different, version. And so, for example, these are the enclosures for the women's side, the men's side as well, but the men don't have doors, they have the urinals. So, again, you're looking at a more refined product and something that has better accessibility. Privacy, again, this is the cosmetic finish, the interior feature, like the height of the toilets, the height of the sinks, all that stuff will meet the AODA requirements. So again, you're just seeing the glossy sort of cover. They're working on the back end and they're trying to get all those details down to us.
So the toilets will be higher than.
So the toilets in both the washrooms will be representative of what's required in AODA. There's only one in the men's. The urinals won't be high, one will be low, and the women's side, I haven't seen the finished drawings yet, but I'm sure out of the 4, I think it is, out of the 3, one will be lower and one will be higher.
Oh, okay.
For, again, to try to get as much, the AODA requirements into that washroom as possible, trying to stuff that building full of accessible features. Next up, please. So again, they just gave us the example of the sinks, single lever or auto manual faucet. Next slide. This is the technology we're looking at. So basically it's touch-free, and drying in the same section. So again, another.
Wait, you wash and dry in the same?
Yeah, they're awesome.
I have not seen that.
I've met it once, kind of look at a problem.
So it is an interesting thing.
There's a learning curve, but.
But the reason that I like it is because a lot of times when, and again, I'm looking at this from our facility maintenance division, they have to go restock paper, they also have to clean the dryers, and they also, they will put their hand under a dryer, water inherently splashed up.
Yeah.
So with this case, you have them handle the sink, and it's putting water into the sink versus under the wall. So we spend all this money building this building, and now we're just, putting, unless you're my 6-year-old, you're
And then you walk out with your clean hands and you don't have to touch a door.
that's why I said you'd be happy.
And you don't have to worry about driving.
The nurse in me is very happy.
Next slide. Again, it's just more same thing. Next, please. Same thing. I just kind of, and again, and so now I included this. I didn't really need to, but this is just the level of detail into the finishes and the style of finishes. You're really getting a refined product, and I think we've already sort of agreed to the price that we're working within for the library, so we're gonna run with it. We're not gonna, get this and then start taking components off. My goal is to maintain this level of finish throughout the whole washroom.
So the most modern room and the nicest room in the library will be the washroom.
Well, see, that's something that I talked to the architects about. I don't want it to be it looks like it doesn't belong. I wanted there to be continuity between the two, and I think this is a beautiful building. I think that we can get those finishes. However they do it, we haven't seen the finished product yet, right? But they did promise me that they'll try to maintain sort of the aesthetic throughout the building. Because I agree with you, I don't, it's a weird look. That's it, that's it for this one. So here, with respect to timeline, I'm sure you guys want to timeline, I'll just.
Yeah, like tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow, you get nothing.
That's not an answer. Okay.
So the 28th, we're looking at potential design completion. And then the tender phase is potentially October 10th and around then. And again, this is all dependent on how fast the architects can get back us the information. They have subcontracted Tatum Engineering to do all the civil and electrical and mechanical drawings. And I've been working with Tatum, and I know the gentleman who's on the project great. He knows this library in and out. He did the windows with me. He did the roof repairs. I wasn't here for that. But he knows the building. So I'm confident they'll give us something quickly. So tender phase, probably beginning of October. Construction will probably fall at the middle to the end of October, spilling into November. Obviously, I would assume for about a 30-day construction period. And then the warranty period will spill into the end of 2025. Now, warranty is fully functioning, so it's not a question of can you use it. My goal is to have, I told this to Jen, I'm okay saying this to you guys, I want this thing done in November. I want it done.
Yeah, cause it's getting cold, some bums are gonna get cold outside.
Yeah, it's gonna be cold, but we know what's coming, so we should just, that keeps us warm.
Well, yeah, it's cold and risk, again, just back to your accessibility.
Of course.
That's, I think, the bigger concern is the single slippery in there.
I made this my priority. I made it my, as you guys know, I do have the fire station and other projects, but I'd say this is a critical item for the town. So,
November, the end of November?
I would put it in mid-November, and that's a very healthy time for me to work and for, yeah. I mean, so here's the problem. You can do this a number of ways. You can rush and put everything back the way that it was, and you really haven't benefit, right? You can work with an architect as we have, and we really are thoughtful about the process, and you have something that has a legacy thing for the library. So I was part of the Gen selection group for the RFP, and there's a lot of interesting things they're talking about. You know,
The
this,
RFP for the,
Space utilization.
space utilization, yeah, okay,
so I think that things like this should be thought about when we do that. So
Yeah.
we're not just rushing to do one thing and then we are, oh, we want to do all this great work. You know, it's kind of like to your point, you don't want to have one beautiful thing and the rest is a 5 out of 10. So I think this is good. Right?
can you go back to the picture, the first,
Give me one moment,
the
Julia.
drawing,
Actually.
the one I was so happy with? You were?
Sorry, I actually closed out of it, so I need to
Oh,
reopen. It might pop
My
up.
question is,
Yes.
Jen let me into the dungeon, couple weeks ago. And I was astounded by the
Height.
height of this, like, that is a waste of space.
Well, I mean, in all honesty, barrel roofs are kind of a difficult thing. Structurally or aesthetically, they're beautiful. But from a functional perspective, you want as many simple lines as possible. This building has very little of that. Yeah, so again, it's beautiful, but it's difficult to manage, and what that creates is a lot of wasted space. Like town hall, for instance.
Sorry, I'm just
Yeah.
gonna share my
Should have
screen.
had some value engineering done. This building should have some value engineering done. You know, again, it's wonderful.
No,
Well,
but I just, my question is more, that, that receiving area, it seems like that's good space. And it's just got
so.
junk in it.
So I get where you're going with that. There's a few issues. You can expand the wall and then you're entering a whole other order of construction.
Okay,
You know, I looked at the wall, I can tell you that it is not a wood bearing wall, it's a brick wall, but there's a ledger or a member that runs across. Perpendicular, so you could expand it, but now you're to what end, right? Do you want more toilets on the one side? And
not for the bathrooms, I'm just more thinking, what if when the space utilization study, it just seemed like it was good space for receiving, that's all, but maybe not, maybe you're saying it isn't as good as I think, just because it's got a high ceiling.
like to utilize it vertically?
Are you
Or,
just asking if his
Expand the
perspective is,
kitchen or do
that
other
it is
things,
good, useful space for something? that
is
what you're
it,
asking?
yes,
Yeah.
is it good?
so this is a good point, and I've had many conversations with people about this, and I think we often overlook storage space as a very valuable space. And I think the library has lots of functional space, but it actually lacks storage space.
Storage,
But
okay,
you don't want, and we were really thoughtful of that, and this dimensionally, this isn't gonna be as big. My preference would to make it into a true closet, not into a walking space. I don't know if you guys have seen the hot water system for this building, we retrofitted it 2 years ago, and it's the size of a propane tank, it's tiny, it's not a manned electric unit. And truly, I think you could stack that and maintain even more space in the receiving area. The panel can sit wherever. It's gonna be in a locked door. Staff know, better than to open it and start flipping breakers. I mean, town hall, I can walk around and flip breakers all day if I'm not built. So I think the expectation is that they don't touch it, but we wanna keep as much of that receiving space open as possible. It's critical. I think that's a critical thing for the staff. Okay?
The shelving and organization is my problem that I need to solve.
okay.
But it's okay, that is the proposed plan, showing an overlapping turning circle with a toilet.
Yeah, so that space, the person would be breaching the toilet to get on it. So again, it's corner to corner, and the toilet is as far as it possibly can be. So when they looked at the spaces, they just wanted to see what it would look like when the person's turning. It's doable. The men's is tighter, no question. It's absolutely tighter. And again, it's one of those things, potentially, do they move stuff? But again, it's an order of magnitude cost. Now we move it, and then we have to break more of an underground pipe to move it that extra foot.
Okay. It just looks like they're bashing into the toilet.
Oh, yeah, totally, yeah, no, the circle is just used as a sort of a nominal dimension,
Okay,
and they plop it on top, and we see how it would look, how that person would work. I mean, the women's washroom, they benefited. again, the original design to me is unbalanced, but that's what we're working with, right? It's unfortunately just the situation that we have.
Jen, across beside the kitchen there looks like what's double doors. What is that?
That's our AV closet, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this drawing was pulled up by the architect.
And the doors do come out like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it has all of the equipment for the mic and whatever else. It's like a small closet.
Okay.
So the gallery is,
Oh,
Yeah, there's some
yeah,
there's a kitchen.
okay,
yeah, up
all
here.
right, so mid-November.
I'll do my best.
If anybody can do it, Phil can.
We'll
He's got
make
it.
you a cake.
And you get invited to the party.
He does like trees.
Yeah.
I don't want covered, because that's what trees, I want food.
Okay, okay,
Just
That Lauren's a question.
yeah.
Tell me if this is out of place, but does this all fit within the emergency insurance coverage?
In terms of how we're gonna pay for it, so that's a good question. We decided to step away from this being an insurance emergency, item. And I'll tell you why. This issue has presented itself various times over the years, from an odor or a small leak or whatever it is. And there are concerns twofold. The first is we probably wouldn't get the level of compensation we want for this that we are trying to put into the project. So if an insurer or an adjuster came here to take a look at this, they would say, okay, this was a leaking pipe. Looks like there's some water damage from previous years. How come you didn't do it? So now this isn't an act of God situation. This is a negligence. And we can argue it any way we want. The adjuster will always lean to the side of the insurance company. So we want to protect ourselves in that respect. And also, we'll increase our premiums over the course of the years, and we won't get the money back. So if they said, we'll give you $300,000, your premiums go up by $200 a year in perpetuity.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's a great deal for me. However, in this case, they're gonna say your premiums go up by $200 a year forever, and you're only gonna get 10 grand, because it was a gasket that broke, and that's it. And then, have a nice day. And then the adjuster will give us a report and say, well, the maintenance wasn't perfect. Well, we couldn't see behind the walls. So we entered this this difficult situation where we're trying to explain to people, this whole problem. And I think, to me, it became an emergency when the wall leaked, but what the ultimate root cause was likely a flange or some sort of plumbing fixture that had been slowly failing, and in that moment, it just released, and then all the water came out of it, and, that happened. I don't think that if I was an adjuster, I would qualify $250,000 for that, unfortunately. That's the argument that I had with my treasurer, because I want the town to be represented well in all these situations. And I think, the washroom was due for a replacement anyway. We were gonna do it anyway. This is actually perfectly timed. Could have been maybe a little bit later, right? But it needs to be done, so we just bite the bullet and do it.
So it's coming out of the city budget.
It's coming out of capital budget. We haven't figured out where, but Monica, that's my boss will figure that out.
Okay. Well, I'd like to thank you.
Yeah.
No problem.
Right.
Great work.
2 other items.
Yep, 2 more.
Are you ready?
Sure. This is great. This is easier than sitting on the computer screen, so I don't mind.
It's great to have you in the room.
I'll just take this off the screen, but we're still recording.
So what are the,
Oh, sorry. So, what did I have on here? Could you talk about building condition assessments?
So, the town this year, we've engaged Tatum Consulting, and this was through a competitive bid to complete facility condition assessment. So essentially, in a nutshell, there are engineered reviews of our facilities that identify critical issues, help to develop budget for current and future years, and then give me indication of remaining life for specific assets, like in a nutshell. So the way that in the past it was done was we would have a budget, we would throw, say, $100,000, and we would go for tender, and the consulting engineer would go do all 72 of our buildings. Well, you take that 100 grand and you spread 100 grand over the buildings, you don't get a quality report. So this year, it's my first year doing it, because we do it every 5 years. I said, let's first look at our critical infrastructure. And we did the weighted average, very simple. I'm a simple guy, so I building complexity, like in terms of the size and the sort of all the components. Does it have designated substances? What's its purpose in the communities that I'm facing as a critical infrastructure or, whatever. We took all those things and we put them into just a little chart. And basically the top 7 or 8 fit into the $100,000. We actually bid, the proponent bid the lowest below the hundreds, and we have actually more wiggle room. But the library was included as one of my more complex buildings, obviously. It's front facing, it's got a lot of stuff going on. It's got all these cool curves, right? So it qualified for the first round, 2025 round of condition assessments. So we've already started the condition assessments. And there should be folks coming through the buildings and looking at your HVAC, looking at your roofing system, looking at your brickwork and your windows and all of those things. And what that will do is qualify work over the course of, say, I think I said 5 years. So they have to give me projects at an estimated cost, that would be Class D or whatever. And I'll just say that in 2028, we have to do the interior windows or something to that effect. And the reason that it's well timed is because now when I do my budgets, I have to qualify each project within a bucket of money. So I used to have, say, $500,000, and I would go out and I would, based on my expertise, say this needs this and so on. Now we use condition assessments as the driving factor. So if they come in here and they say those interior windows need to get replaced, that's a 2026 item no matter what. It does a few things. It provides really, really good clarity on what we need to get done. And also it provides a clear budget. So they know, we know, council knows how much money we need, we move forward. There really is no indecision.
And it's good timing with the space utilization, because if somebody suggests we do something to a corner and you find out that that corner is gonna fall apart anyway, then that's.
It all works.
Yeah.
My goal is to drive all my work through asset management plan and condition assessments.
Okay.
No more sort of,
Not up for debate.
And I like that people think that I know what I'm doing, but I make mistakes too. And it's good to have a second set of eyes that can say, yeah, no, this is correct. Maybe that can lie. The HVAC system can handle 2 more years, focus on something else. Kind of situation.
And they said that this is done end of November.
It's going on right now. So we haven't scheduled it out yet. They haven't been building yet, but I want all of them done this year, end of November, because I want to be able to drive the 26 budget. And as you guys know, we're trying to get that done now. So it's happening concurrently, but you want people to get done.
Is the depot on there too?
The depot is part of the library.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Great, okay, thank you. And then, what was the other thing?
the fire safety stuff.
The generator.
So generator, BBCC, we've started work with the consulting engineer to design the generator system. That's at least, well, not least, it is around a 52-week lead time, but the good news is that I will get pricing back for the physical infrastructure in the next couple of weeks. We'll buy this thing and I'll know how much budget I have left over for this building. We're also doing a bunch of work here. When they run the power, I'll find out what the exact demand profile is for this building. So what the KW is, and that will indicate the size of how much power we need to fuel this building. I can tell you right now, the demand for this building is very low. It's a very simple, in terms of electrical, very simple building. The demand is what, lighting, a little bit of HVAC, and some computers, right? So compared to, say, our wastewater treatment plant is high demand, high variability, and lots of complex pumps. This is a no-brainer, and it's a good first pilot for our electrified generator systems. So solar, battery backup, that whole kit is probably, it is what I want to do. I'm gonna push for that, and if someone says no, I'll tell you, you get mad at them.
That's right. It won't be me.
So the generator project is for all the town buildings?
No, it's strictly for the BCC, but Beaver Valley Community Center. But I suspect there's going to be a little bit of surplus in the project. And because this is also, what they call it, Career Center, Muncher Point.
Media center.
Media Center. So it does have value in the emergency management plan. I want to move here next. So again, regardless of what happens, say that, you know, the cost of generators goes through the roof and we have 1 cent left over. I will look at it in the next year as a critical item because of its purpose in town.
And I can say, if I could say, Phil doesn't like credit, but I'm giving it to him anyways, is that he is always looking at grants and opportunities that way too.
Yeah.
There's a grant out there, he's on it.
Yeah,
Like
so
a dog with a bone, he's got it.
good example, we did apply for 2 grants for this Washington project.
I know, I had to sign and say, we, the board, were elderly. I had to redo it though, so the first draft was like.
Was that the New Horizons grant? Yeah.
I knew that was gonna happen.
It's a very strong grant, it's a very, I've completed grant applications that I felt were very weak. Just because of the quality of information and ones that were strong, I think this one is very strong.
Great.
And, yeah, I mean, it's not for a lot, 25,000, but I'll take
Hey,
25K
why not?
all day, right?
Yeah. Okay,
Now I gave that one over, but
I know, and that.
I brought that to him.
to
brought that to him. And now we got it. And there's no limitation on how many times you can apply for different projects.
Really?
I thought it would say it on the problem.
True.
You have different projects.
You already received the grant or?
We just, the application deadline was about a week ago,
Okay.
we just finished it. The one thing that I'm trying to do is mirror our construction phase with the grant phase, because a lot of the grants will not allow you to invoice projects in advance of receiving the grant. So I want to get them as close as possible. I can tell the contractor, just hold off for 2 weeks and then we can get it done. But if I say I do, like, for example, the demolition doesn't qualify for anything because we demoed, you know, a month and a half ago. And if I send the invoice that we got to the grant body for them to approve for the money, and they'll say, this was done in like August 20th. And we close the grant network, you know, from this time to this time, it makes no sense. So you can't apply for work post completion. So I'm trying to keep it close. The New Horizons one is a bit more flexible, but the one that's for 65 is a bit more tight, and they want to see stuff around November. So really kind of keep it fast paced, but just slow it down just enough that it falls into the late, you know, October, November area.
okay, well, thank you.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Mid-November.
Thanks, Jen.
Forget about the cake.
I'll take the little bars and.
Yeah, okay. Wow,
Okay.
he's a bundle of energy,
Yes.
making stuff happen, that's great. Yeah,
Forward progress.
yeah,
Oh, what am I doing
I
here?
feel like
Sorry.
we're really moving
We are.
on a lot of things.
After a year.
Okay, so we squeezed through the correspondence. So we're actually caught up on our agenda, and we will move to the discussion about the OLA Super Conference 2026 and who would be interested in.
Yeah, well, I have 2 things. So I did reserve tentatively 1 hotel room in case a board member would like to attend. I can always reserve another room too, but I just want to throw it out there that all of the good hotels are gonna go fast.
So what
So
about you?
I reserved 1 room I reserved 2 rooms in
Okay.
total. It's not a huge deal for me though, even if I had to give them up. My sister lives in Newmarket. But
You can get downtown.
worst case, or I can do
Yeah.
Airbnb, it's not a huge deal for me. The only other thing so think about it unless anyone knows off the top of their head right now that they would like to attend. And that's something that we'll consider too when we
I
talk
can
about
say
the
that
budget.
I'm not interested in attending, so.
You are.
Okay,
What are the dates again?
I still
it
don't.
is
Many of them.
the end of
The end of January,
January, and for board sessions, typically, the board boot camp is on the Saturdays, so it would be,
Like the 31st?
yes,
Okay.
Saturday, the 31st. would be the most ideal for the board. There may be other sessions that
Yeah.
board members might be interested in throughout the week as well, but that's really the main board focus is on the Saturday. We do have a staff member that submitted a proposal, so, I also submitted a proposal with the Collingwood Library CEO. We just submitted it about 2 days ago, so we'll see if that gets accepted. But yeah, just start thinking about whether or not you're interested in attending, so then we can also talk more about that at the budget meeting in October.
And I don't know, for sure.
It was great conference.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Got a lot out of it.
Joanne, Chris.
I'm tentatively interested. I was just, the dates just gotta
Okay.
check on travel.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm already at Roma and that lets out on the Tuesday, so I'm not,
Okay,
my blood pressure can only handle going to Toronto at least once a year. so.
fair.
No, it's just being away and I have two things.
Okay, so, we'll now move on to the strategic planning committee report. So, Joanne, did you want to? So we've already accepted the
Report, minutes,
Accepted
report.
the minutes. Yeah,
When did we,
we accepted the minutes as part of the minutes exception.
Yes,
Or accepted.
and then the report
Okay,
has been
yeah,
received as information already.
So,
oh, okay, yes.
Yeah.
All right, so report.
would you like to? I'll start and then Jen will fill in.
Okay.
Yeah. Essentially, we've had a number of meetings, and just at a high level, when we took a look at the context of we're facing, so the previous plan being really a COVID context and coming out of COVID, we're now in a little bit of a different context, which is, quite, as actually the action plan that set that context well, which is about challenges to freedom of expression. Obviously, we have the context of the rather already bursting at the seams space. And I think safety was the other, safety, staff, interactions, et cetera. So thinking about that, we initially, take a step back. Initially, we had all thought, okay, you know what, this is really good, and you probably only need to make tweaks. As we talked through the context, I think what we felt is that there's probably more than tweaking that needs to be done in order to be able to have focus pillars that really help us address the current context. So what we did at our first meeting, we came up with what we'll say is sort of a draft vision statement, mission, and we took a look at the values, and we can probably jump down to those.
Do you want to talk about the duration of the plan, Joanne?
Sorry, that was the other one that's just like, what did we all decide on? The other thing is, first is, it's a high level framework. It's just to steer operational level tasks. The timeframe we are looking at is really a 10-year timeframe. So instead of the 4-year, which we all agreed we need to expand on, 20 felt a little long, so 10 feels like, yeah, you can, a good runway. So that's what we're looking at, is a strategic, a 10-year perspective. Yeah, and then the other, could you just scroll?
With the annual work plans.
With the annual work plans, yeah, against that. And then, yeah, the strategic environment changes, we made some changes. Sorry, Julie, you had a question.
Well, I have a couple of comments, but I don't, and questions. You said, just a minute ago, you said, at first you went at this as it was tweaks and the group decided tweaks were not enough.
Yeah.
Can you just elaborate on that?
When we look at, so I think the big one is challenges to freedom of expression and safety. And I think I can talk to, so. Turn this up around. While the pillars make sense, I think part of our challenge was the vision is strong, but it doesn't necessarily speak to really being almost proactive in those respects. And we also felt that being more, sorry, the vision was more of a mission statement than I'm giving that, yeah, it was more of a mission statement. That's kind of where we came from.
And the conversation, we sort of said, where do we see the library going in 10 years?
Yeah,
And if our vision in 10 years, do these kind of fit? And that led to the discussion that, you know,
Maybe it did.
maybe it didn't fit
Okay.
in our vision on where we want the library to be in 10 years. Go ahead.
Okay, fair enough.
yeah. So we drafted new, sorry.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Ask about the 10 years, because,
Mhm.
you know, the one that in 2022 is outdated in 2025, right? Because of such a shift from COVID to an environment.
Yeah.
10 years is a very long time.
But if you look at a lot of strategic plans, again, the strategic plan is not the operational level. A lot of strategic plans are 5 to 10 years, 10 to 15 years.
I haven't seen them that long.
Yeah, I could see 5 years. But just to point out that
Mhm.
in previous discussions, we went with 4 years because that's a council term. You know, so that you're offering consistent with the council. Now, that may not be a reasonable, you know, good enough idea. Maybe there's some other options, but 10 years does seem to be rather ambitious.
Can I make a few comments too, just to add to the discussion? I have seen 10 years. It's not, I wouldn't say it's common. But I think in the context of the conversations we had, it was how do we, if you look at every public library strategic plan, they're all, yes, they go through vigorous consultation, which they should. And we tend to consult the community ongoing all of the time. So people will say, they'll call it a living document, which is also really, I don't want to say it's tough to even throw that term around, because for a strategic plan, I think we were thinking, you know, is it broad enough that it still speaks to our core values? It still speaks to what will not change in 10 years. But not to say it can't be revisited, but the annual work plans would really put everything into the annual context every single year. So the strategic plan would be broad enough that it wouldn't necessarily change. Like, what are the things that don't change about libraries? You know, our core values haven't changed ever. Our mission and vision statements, we talked vision. Yeah, vision is very future facing. Your mission, has that really changed? Even during COVID, has the mission statement changed? The pillars, I think, we talked about the language, you know, do community hubs, that has never really changed either. It's just maybe the language itself. And then the goals too, are some of the goals in our strategic plan now a little too specific. And I've actually found that when, I think we do a really good job right now, incorporating our strategic plan into all of our reports. But even sometimes I find, I know museum staff also find this too, sometimes it's too specific. So it's kind of hard for us to, you know, we're constantly playing around with our language and some of the things that we're doing operationally to make it fit into our strategic plan. So whether or not the board agrees it should be 10 years, I think it was mostly just how do we keep it broad enough so that we don't have to continuously
'Cause
revisit.
that's what we agreed on. Like, we wanted to move to something that was
Longer term.
a higher level so that we didn't have to.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, and Councillor McKinley, you might have a perspective on this, is I know right now with council, and it is a little bit different when you think about the town strategic plan versus the libraries. Like, yes, we want them to speak to one another and work together. But, you know, yes, the board changes every 4 years, but should who is on the board really shape what the strategic plan is all about? Do you know what I'm
I
saying?
don't think it's the board changes. I was thinking about it as one of the council directions that might change.
Yeah, and I think that was actually one of the other considerations for a longer term is, as a library, as a standalone entity, we have to continue to deliver services and our specific services to the community. And so the question, and it was that you phrased so well, which is, what are we gonna be in 10 years? Gives you that long enough lens to say, so what is our community gonna be in 10 years? Stuff's gonna happen, councils are gonna come in and out, but the library will always be here. And so therefore, in 10 years, what do we make sure that we have to have in place? And because in doing that thinking, it means that when a new council comes in, we're being more, in my mind, we're being more proactive about what the community needs and what we need to deliver, rather than reacting to what they're, I hate to say it, but to the theme of the day. So I think that's the lens, and again, why it's more of a framework than it is, and this is where we can get caught up, it's a framework more than a plan. You know, the framework sets the stage, and then the plan set the how-to.
Putting it as a strategic framework. And you have actual annual plans.
And then you have the annual plans. I think that's
As a framework, it's a guideline, right? And that being said, like even with the corporate strategic plan that they're doing now, it might be what everything's all sunshine and roses that this council thinks, and the next council might, even though it's supposed to be good for 5 years or whatever they set to the date, the next council might come and go, no, we don't agree with that. So they just might, you know, it could be on the wall like that. I love how this is on the wall. If you have any question, you can just look at the wall.
Yeah.
But it's like all kinds, council-wise, it's like all of the previous plans and studies and things that have been done. Oh yeah, but you know, we know, but we're gonna just toss that aside, and this is what we're gonna do now, right? It's a guideline, it's a framework, something to follow, so it's exactly
It's
that.
a framework, and then these are guardrails.
It's guardrails,
It's
It's broad in nature.
Guidelines suggest you can change it. A guardrail is like, these are absolutely what we're gonna continue to deliver.
Yeah,
We're gonna have to tweak the plan based on the theme of the day.
being broad,
Or, you know, the different,
the year-
obviously, the
the
things
year
that change and our
back.
budgets, et cetera, but, and also as we are now getting traction on expansion, we know that, you know, actual building takes more than 4 or 5 years.
being broad
So,
in
that was
nature.
the other thinking,
Being
yeah.
broad in nature allows the ability to be nimble at the same time, because the next board.
That is so wise.
Thank you, I'm full of
Wow.
nuggets of gold like
You
that.
got
You know,
that.
if anybody listens to me, I've got, you know, yeah. So being broad in nature, being broad in nature gives us it gives us the ability to be nimble, right? So we can, you know, it's not so underpinned, it's not so locked down, right? Because the next library board, I mean, I hope that the library board's the same, made up of the same fine people next time, but if it's not, they might have a different perspective. That's where it's gotta, you know, keeping that.
hopefully What we come up with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you guys are doing great.
Okay, so far.
Good points.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It really was intended to be high level, so that, as we've said all along, the operating plan, the action plan would be where the details come in, and they change every year.
And you said something else that caught my attention, I liked it, you said something about. And I don't remember exactly your words, but it was like, we're gonna need to be more,
Proactive.
proactive, so. Like about literacy and about intellectual freedom,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's, and I think Jen, you brought that up when you were talking about the vision and how does it feel like we are taking a stance and being, and I think it is about being proactive then.
Well, especially how,
Because we are a leader in the community.
But
Yeah.
because of Jen and this board, we've set that policy for the use of artificial intelligence.
As an example.
No one else has done that. The town still hasn't got that as a policy. So that's something to be said.
Yeah, okay, so.
There
Trailblazers.
we go.
There was something, the whole extension, you're looking for an extension.
Oh, yes, in terms of timing. So I did just want to clarify. So we came up with a vision and the mission and the values. And again, these are kind of placeholders. This is where we think we're going. The consultation study and research sort of will help validate or wordsmith a bit, but we thought we wanted to take a little step further. So just, you know, together we ignite curiosity and promote the freedom to think and explore by creating ideas where culture and knowledge thrive as a mission. So we really want to get, again, it's around freedom of expression, and always making sure that we're talking about ideas, culture, and knowledge, The cultural, very important. The vision is our current mission statement. And then the values, there were 25 and we felt, not that all 25 aren't important, but that if we were really going to, here are the sort of the priorities being identified.
What are your non-negotiables?
The non-negotiables. So again. those
We
are
also felt
validated.
25 values. You could probably ask any staff or any resident and they wouldn't be able to tell you.
Yes.
It's just too much to remember.
But you will come up with those, because I know with this one, you didn't pick the biggest ones there, which represented the ones that were mentioned most frequently in the consultations.
Mhm.
So did you?
Those we sort of thought were a little bit generic.
Mhm.
And the ones that we
I'm curious how you came up with those.
Well, the first two, literacy and intellectual freedom, are really about the foundations of libraries.
Yeah.
They are on the list. All of those are on the
Yeah.
list. They're just a small.
Yeah. And equity as well. And then community focused instead of community hubs. Again, we're sort of playing just with the language, and cultural awareness was.
Yes.
Well, how do
That
we,
picked up the
I think
whole-
that was
Tiny letters.
that tiny one, but.
how do you bring the whole glam together? Like
Yeah.
I think even some of those words too, we're like, well, community, could we come up with a better word? But
I think they're not all apples and apples, so, but you're going to, these are just the working ones
So the
for
working
now.
yeah, this is where.
Because, yeah, I spent like 20 minutes going community focused, community cultural, but yeah, anyway, yeah.
Yeah, we know that we could spend a lot of time. Sorry, you had another.
I just
one
have
on
two
that?
other things,
Yeah.
that just sort of come to mind when we were looking at the values. It was also, with the more comprehensive list, like, are any of these terms really saying the same thing? How can we narrow it down? Which, I mean, that helped to start there. But I think too, with community focus, there was a really big discussion around, how we're funded and why being publicly funded, why it will always be one of our values that everything we do should be
In service.
led by the community. And do we use the word community led, but then that's kind of a buzz term and it's associated with certain professionals, and I don't know, it wasn't necessarily like community led is also, yeah, anyway, we were
So
kind of
community
debating
lead,
over that.
but that didn't work.
So
Yeah, we're not gonna wordsmith.
we agree with the concept, the wording is for later.
As Joyce said, it's a bit of a placeholder to see what the research comes back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then we were avoiding, sorry, McKinley, we were also avoiding, the word, like, we were talking about books and reading and like, yes, that's, yes, we've been trying to, get people to think about what else we do, but books is still our brand, but then there's all these different types of literacy, and so literacy itself is really all encompassing of health literacy, digital literacy, financial literacy, all of everything that falls under the education that happens at a GLAM. So
That's why literacy is the perfect word.
yeah, it's
There again,
simple.
it's broad in nature, but you can pluck from it what you want, right? And like, so if I may though too, right, like last week for our corporate strategic planning session, the Stratcor, who are by far some of the best consultants I think I've ever seen, where they've said, they're taking the same, and they said they've got, it's the same, like that list there, identical. It doesn't matter what strategic plan you've got, they have the same list of all those things that are right up there. And what they said is, you tell us, it's a verb, pick a verb. Well, that's, you're all very literate folks, so yeah, pick a verb. What verb would you like,
Active.
right? Like, you pick your verbs and, less is more. That's what they said too. Like, don't get too wordy, because then it trails off and everybody gets lost and then they just stop reading and they don't pay attention. But keep it short, keep it light. It's a guideline, it's a framework, it's what you need to move forward.
Allows us to be nimble.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's my words.
Okay, all right, that's
Yeah.
good.
So then to the timing, so before we jump into the plan, where, we had the conversation and then with the initial idea that everything would be done by June,
April.
April. and questioned that because there's so much going on right now with the library, and we really are concerned about community, consultation fatigue. So then we just sort of dug into, could we move, could we actually move the date? What's driving the April date, et cetera? And essentially there's nothing really driving it. I don't even think budget decisions anymore. So what we are hoping to do, is to move the final delivery to November? Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, November.
Yeah.
So, and then sort of the steps back up from there, with community consultations then happening more in 2026. Youth will start now because we have to catch them while they're in school. There's lots of different programs and some of the community touch points we can start on. But yes, but overall, what that would mean would be the having the revised strategy, and I realized we made the Q1 2027 recommended action plan. I realized that's on the list as well. So that's the suggestion, is we have that for November.
So wait, say that, what's this about the Q1?
So as
Action
part
plan,
of,
you mean
as
for
part of the deliverables,
7?
so the new board has a Q1,
It's like an
a
interim.
recommended
action.
interim action plan, just to get started.
Is that what we have that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because you spend 3 months in training.
yeah.
Before you actually get a chance to look at library stuff. So, yeah, the previous board did the action plan, did the strat plan, did the action plan to get you free to deal with the training before you had to start dealing with natural.
Right, and I'm hoping that we won't have a complete turnover of library board members too, though, this time, right? So it would be good to have something to get going with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Etc.
Yeah.
So yes, and so thank you for clarifying. We thought it was a full motion change, but the questions.
That was my mistake.
Yeah. Sorry, so what we do at this meeting is we're confirming if we're all in agreement, or do we change this in January to change the?
Well, I think there's some
Some
options.
clarity.
So
Okay.
the report as is, the recommendation is just to receive it as information. And the way that the policy is, which I mistakenly thought was a bylaw, it actually is a governance policy. The multi-year agenda, is we can either just accept that the timelines in the policy right now are flexible and can be revisited in January when we revisit the policy every year, or if the board would prefer to get it on the record that the committee has received direction to extend the deadline, we could do that today. The timeline or the key milestones and timeline the board already approved, though. There is a date on there saying that it's kind of worded broadly, but the consultation plan should be approved today. What's in the report today is just our plan for this year, which was to engage youth who we already know are underserved. We want to hear from them regardless. And we haven't heard from them enough in any other engagement we've done, including youth climate action, which arguably I think that's probably been the best outlet for us in terms of actually connecting with youth and getting in the schools. We just did a workshop the other day, and we had over 26 people attend. Not all youth, but there were many youth who were actually in their projects are in progress, so they got to do like an update. We got to also share other information about things that were happening. It was a very intimate way of reaching youth, but anyway. So we already know that we need to target youth. We have $1,500 this year as a committee to spend on the strategic plan. So whether or not that's used to bring in a keynote, we get in the high school, we get people excited about libraries, and then they can talk to us about, yes.
We have pizza.
And then the other thing too is, we already know that with our 30th anniversary celebrations, people are excited about the past. Well, why don't we just talk to them about the future at the same time? So it's not a very robust proposal for consultation for 2025, but it's sort of where we're at. The other thing to consider that's in the report too is the consultation that will come out of the space utilization study. And there'll obviously be a lot of really valuable information that could feed into the strategic plan. So we're not gonna go out and engage the community at the same time. We don't wanna launch more than one survey. People, I think will already be confused that they've either participated in or are hearing about the town's corporate strategic plan. So from a consultation perspective, why don't we just do in person with the youth, meet them where they're at, and then double down on the 30th anniversary celebrations this year, and then focus more on consultation in 2026, understanding that the plan will not be ready for April. So if the board's okay with its information for now, we can revisit the timeline, acknowledging that it's built into a policy, but it's flexible. Or right now, the board could decide, let's put this into a motion and say that we formally extend
See, you're
the
saying
timeline.
when we look at the multi-year agenda in the new year, we can move things around just like we did this year, but.
Yes.
So we don't necessarily need to.
You don't have to do it right now.
I don't know if you ever saw my version of that multi-year agenda, but it had arrows going everywhere, like, oh, that didn't happen, it's gonna happen here.
Right.
So it's really a guideline to try and make sure you cover all these things and you don't do everything in May, like everyone.
Right.
So it's completely
You're
flexible.
good with that. You don't think we're being,
No, and I think it's much more realistic to have that plan worked mostly through 2026, so you're ready by the end of 26.
with something, yeah.
Yeah, and my only other concern or question really is, it's a lot of work
Yes,
if you're gonna do it internally. And I'm wondering if you wanna think about, for 2026, more of that, more budget or more support for doing this, cause I'm not sure staff have the time to do it all.
yeah.
I
They're
don't think anything
I know, but
specific,
they're worth
but
every
I'm
penny.
just worried that it's a lot of work to be done by existing staff and board, particularly staff who are already fully employed.
I think it's a good point. The other two things I will say is we are in the process of recruiting for a communications and community engagement specialist. So initially I was thinking we may want a budget to have outsourced graphics so we can get these updated. They look beautiful, and then the document itself. Because that's the one thing we really struggle with internally here is none of us are professional graphic designers. We're using Canva and just hammering out posters and, but if we're thinking about our strategic plan, we want it to look beautiful. We want it to be professional. We want it to be accessible. So we are hiring for that position. The posting closes at the end of the month and then, the interviews and whatever else, but we're hoping to actually have somebody in-house that can help with engagement, outreach, and graphics. The only other thing I'll say too is, and I'm not sure if I can't speak on the committee as a whole, but my perspective in terms of the research that has already been done, I think we're well on our way, in terms of, what are we making sure we're aligning with county-wide efforts, town, like where, that sort of thing, so.
And we're quite, attuned to the political landscape that's impacting libraries too, so it's not.
That's a good point. So maybe your consultation is more about validation as opposed to new ideas that you then have to figure out how to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, because it's a good question. Is there, given your past experience with this, is there an aspect of this that you feel it's good to have an outside set of eyes? Like, is it the collecting or is it the collating all of the information? Like, is there a stage that you feel like, wow, if you could actually have an external set?
No, actually, I have no sort of bias in terms of the external and internal. I'm just looking at the time, the volume, the time, and whichever method operationally works. Okay.
Yeah.
So like if we're doing these events, So if you hired like a consulting group, they would organize the events, they would run the events. So it's not a library board standing there and here's our vision. It would be a third party hired by the library, but a third party that would stand up and say,
That would
okay.
require lots of meetings and staff time to, yeah,
So if it's being done internally, your point, Lori, is that it takes a lot of time and a lot of staff time, a lot of.
but it so does it
But if we
externally.
bring somebody in to do the logistics around it and run the meetings, then that saves some time.
Yeah,
I mean,
actually, I'm less concerned when you say you've got a new staff member coming on.
Yeah,
yeah, so
So I
maybe
think
it's
it's
not,
probably fine,
yeah.
but I think we should keep the door open to budgeting
That's
for
fair.
something.
Yeah, okay, that's-
Yeah, and I think that's where just now I'm thinking through, I mean, just the multiple.
The logistics.
What I've been involved in too is sometimes there's a stage that it helps to literally just get someone else to be looking at all the information. And then the internal team is like, oh, hey, we haven't really come up with that. And sometimes it's like a tweaking role. But anyway, there's just, sorry, I appreciate the question.
Well, if
We'll
someone
leave
new
the
is
door
coming in, they're gonna have a different set of eyes anyways too, so
Yeah, so. just leave
I
the
think
door
it would benefit
Okay.
from
But
that.
right now, at this point in time, we hadn't thought of bringing anybody in
No,
when we were having our discussion.
well, we didn't know the actual details yet either,
No.
Mhm.
so we've only planned the fall, nothing beyond that really.
Okay.
and having a plan that's approved in, let's say, November 2026, will that put us into a stronger position with any potential shifts in council in the new, or is it? I'm looking at you, like,
Boy,
well, you're the wise man here today.
It's not there,
So when is the election?
2026,
But is it October 2026? Is that?
Yeah,
what
it's
it
next
is?
year.
Yeah, okay,
year's time.
yeah.
Maybe you guys
Question
might
though,
just-
like what, about continuity?
No, well, I'm just wondering, how do we, I think I'm sort of answering my own question. I think it's really good to have a just updated, proactive plan that we then tell any new council that we share that with them so that we are in charge of our own destiny
Mm.
as much as possible.
Well, it makes sense to do this now, and then it's
Yeah.
ready for the next go.
Yeah,
So if the first council meeting, November 2026, December 2026?
I think we presented, I
The
think,
end of
Last year, I think
November.
it did November, December.
It's like the end of November,
Yeah.
that is like,
So
I
it puts
think
us
that
in a great
we,
position.
I think we presented to the new council in January, I believe.
Okay.
yeah.
Like, here's, just sort of.
Here's the library,
introduction,
and
here's
oh, by
the
the way,
library, here's,
just
that
done this.
sort of.
Yeah.
the orientation.
So then that
Yeah,
timing works better.
It does, yeah, that- I'm sort of talking to myself, but, yes,
okay,
yes. Okay,
So will we wait till January when we revisit all the timelines, just? and then
if you
we'll
think that's
Yeah.
okay, because our
Great.
policy is,
Yeah, my only concern was I didn't want anyone to think that the work wasn't getting done, like, oh, extend it, but that's just
no,
my own
It's
insecurity.
more so we do a better job.
It just makes more sense logistically if everything else is happening.
Yeah.
yeah. Great, yeah, okay. So do you need you don't need any motions for us?
No, I think it's more if there's anybody has questions about the consultation
Congratulate the
plan and
committee on
work.
the work that's been done, and
I had a question, if you roll back, cause we're. Right? Yeah, there's somewhere we're looking at community, I guess keep going back up.
The first page. What do you think, what exactly?
Oh, okay, so what we know about our community so far, so then I get the aging population and that, and this, well, I'm gonna respectfully disagree with a smaller proportion of families and young professionals, cause I would say the pendulum has swung, because our school is at a maximum capacity, even though they say they don't have one. There's never been so much, so I think that's maybe a little inaccurate.
Where did that come from, Jan?
A lot of this information came from the work that the town's consultants have done on the community profile. I can go back and revisit, but that
Okay,
was because when we were doing research, well, we know we don't have, like, the census obviously hasn't been updated. And so we're like, well, what information do we have? The consultants just did some of that, so that is where most of this is pulled from.
Okay, but then when it says community priorities, like, I'm just wondering what it is that it's the library's strategic plan that has to, we have nothing to do with access to indoor recreational space and community gathering spaces.
Yes, we do.
Sure we do.
We don't have indoor recreation in this facility, we have.
Yes,
So
we
the
do.
seniors can-
Yes, we do.
Recreation. Okay,
Yeah.
but,
Recreation.
so, but there was, housing affordability, I don't understand with the
So,
school,
I
with the library.
I think to help frame this up, so this is a quick, like, high level summary of the information pulled together so far.
Yeah,
And part of the next step is, okay, this is what we know, what are the implications for the library? So
Okay.
housing affordability is a huge problem. People are looking for information on housing, right? What role can we play? That's kind of the next step, so
okay,
this
so
is
there's
really.
more
Yeah.
granular. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
I'm not
No, it's okay.
advocating.
I just like, I was like, well, wait a minute, what's the library have to do with housing
And it's a
affordability?
good, in the smaller proportion of families, it might be, let's qualify that smaller proportion, but growing, maybe that, and so this is deeper work that we look at is the family sector the fastest growing within all of our demographics?
Right,
So that's the next kind
okay,
of stage.
thanks for your
Great
input. I just like, I was like, well, I don't understand that.
Yeah.
And this is just what we know now.
This is the initial.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you're looking to,
Yeah.
gather more, so
Yeah.
all this could change. We
Mhm.
could find from the survey that it was more, that the population of young families had increased.
Okay, no, just fine. And I wasn't trying to disparage the social activities that happen here and the recreational activities. I just saw recreation and I was like, oh, wait a minute, right? I just thought, yeah. that's-
we play pickleball that night here?
Yeah, right. That's what I mean. I was like, wait a minute, I don't remember that.
Sorry, I didn't say that.
Pick up your snowshoes and then you go snowshoes.
That's the library things. Yeah, okay.
Okay,
Very good
Great.
work.
great, yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
All right, well, we look forward to more,
Yeah.
updates.
Yeah, after the meeting, now that we've
A lot of work.
determined our next meeting date, which we didn't set, I
Yeah,
just
I'm
realized.
fine.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we'll have to set that up.
Okay, now we will go to the Q2, specs report, which was another excellent package.
I do, both myself, I'm pretty sure this is accurate to say staff too. This format works very well for us too. Just put that out there, so thank you.
Good.
It's really, really good. The only thing is I still wonder if there's a bit of duplication
Okay,
between the action plan status and statistical report, that's all. But if you were just cutting and pasting, it wouldn't matter, but. So do you want to lead us through, Jen?
sure. And I think there were some outstanding questions too. So this might need to be a little bit modified. But, I don't know if I'll really go into too much detail on foot traffic apart from, just keep in mind that for Q3 and Q4, if there is a drop in foot traffic, it may be due to the washroom renovations. What we're noticing right now actually is that a lot of community groups want to stay in our building. So we have been provided with the opportunity to move a few events. We have moved one so far, but in the grand scheme of things, people don't want to leave the library. Even, they don't even want to go to the arena, which is just down the street. They want to use our facility. So right now, I don't have a ton of concerns. It'll just be a matter of, I don't know, maybe we'll have to close for construction. I have no idea what's going to happen between now and I guess the end of November, if that's the timeline we were provided. But just keep that in mind when you're looking at the stats.
Phil didn't raise that, but you have mentioned that to me before, that
It's a possibility,
that,
but I don't think it's
high risk.
not for sure. Yeah, so I don't really, it's hard for me to say. I think that's probably also why.
Can I just jump in with the questions I had?
Yes.
It's actually, you can go back a slide.
I didn't, I
Here?
couldn't even
Yeah.
see the questions, so.
Yeah, no, that's what Jen said, she
Yeah.
can do the questions. It says here there'll be, space utilization includes a quarterly report, which I didn't see in here at all. And actually, thank you. The only reason I'm asking some of this stuff is I actually have my meeting with June Porter tomorrow. So I wanted to share some of the stuff with her, and I'm sort of looking at things that might create a question.
My understanding of space utilization was foot traffic was a measure
Mhm.
that comes quarterly. So how many people are actually using the space?
Yeah, but that's also listed above. You go back up. So you have traffic listed. So are you looking for a different, either delete space utilization as a quarterly?
Well, it's more specifically, you know, it's more specifically what's being done. So it should be, so I realized that the other, what we don't have in here is the number of programs. So number of programs and people attending programs. So,
Okay.
so there's how many people are coming in and then what are they, you know, what's,
Yeah, it is.
oh,
It's
that's
under,
under,
yeah.
right, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay,
Good
but
catch.
it doesn't show up. later
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
I just wanna see if that would also be the room bookings. If that would also fall, so space utilization, I'm just trying to
Sorry.
remember when we
I
developed
think
this.
you're right. I think it'd be more than room bookings.
Room bookings.
Yeah, so
So-
how many,
So like community space.
how is the, how many times are the community renting this space? So when I report the room bookings statistics, they're not including staff use of the space, it's community use. And then to counter that, it's the, how many times do we have to actually request, or sorry, deny requests to use the space because it's overutilized?
But that's showing up under power and services, isn't it?
Yeah, it is right now.
Yeah,
So,
I'm still back under community. Yeah.
So there's a bit of massaging to
Yeah.
be done. You see, because there
So,
it is.
yeah, no, I'm just saying, so space utilization is different than programs and participation. So space should literally be, rental, community rental use would be that's essentially what we're tracking.
So I'm,
Because
but I
programs is a different
also,
thing.
to Lori's point,
Yeah.
I put it under empowering services, but it should actually fall under community hubs, so
okay, so it will show up just a
Yeah.
bit.
I'll make that change.
And then just while we're on the same page, which we just is we have the words ratio versus a root flow index. And I think that's gonna be meaningless to most people. It says like, and in my comments, I just suggested something else, which I can't remember now. I'm not,
Ratio.
is that an existing space versus?
The last one that you're giving to us.
So the last one, yeah, so if we're supposed to have one, so it's per population, so that will change over time. So if we're at
1 square foot for whatever.
There's supposed to be 1 square foot and we're, you know, indexed at.
So it's maybe
120.
Oh,
existing space versus a
Yeah.
root flow
Yeah.
ratio.
So it'd be like
Existing space,
90%,
yeah,
or we're
yeah.
120%
Under.
under, yeah, or,
Yeah.
But it's a term that isn't gonna be commonly
No.
understood in terms of what it refers to.
Yeah.
So I think you're right, it's not clear.
but we're doing that annually anyway, so.
The existing space ratio.
And,
Yeah,
okay,
it was just, again, it was, again, for an annual report where,
Maybe
you know,
just in brackets behind.
It's all about
kind
Could be
of-
just actual versus recommended space. We're at 60%.
I think it's more just being specific, is that what it is? So it's like, it's the
Make- make it-
existing
make it
space
clear.
to standard.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, cause it's,
Space
it'd be
ratio
meaningless to most people.
Standard. Yep, good point.
just for
Cause
clarity,
this is
so
meant to be public.
Yeah, yeah.
what should I
that's
change
right.
it to?
So annually is, oh, sorry, no, so I think it's the existing space
Versus recommended,
versus,
as a percentage of
recommended.
recommended with a little asterisk that says a group of guidelines for libraries down at the bottom.
versus recommended.
This is so much better though.
What is emotional affiliation?
So those are,
Like
I love the, like the libraries,
Oh,
we have the
okay.
best
Okay.
library, I think in the survey, it's, you know, well, it's almost your
Well,
satisfaction.
there's some in the report, there, so yeah, okay.
My next question is on the next slide, and that's the, Q1 cardholders. Number of new cardholders, 110. And I tried to add that to 4840 and came up with 4950 rather than 4900. So I thought, oh, I'm asking.
I did that
to the wrong
too.
base.
So what's not presented are people that have been removed for whatever reason, whether they move out of town,
They don't renew when their card is expired.
maybe they pass away.
Okay, so this isn't.
So it's just how many card holders do we have and how many new card holders, how many new people signed up for a membership that quarter?
Okay.
So,
Yep.
yeah,
Okay.
so the other way we could do is net new,
Net, yeah.
would be net new, and it would just be new card holders less, what do you call
But
it?
it's kind of nice to see how many people come
New
in
people
and
sign
say,
up.
I want a card.
I'd rather see the.
We can put an explanation there,
Yeah.
if you're, yeah.
Yep.
It's a good point, again, who's looking at
Don't
this?
you remember
Yes.
Noel and I driving ourselves crazy when our first year? Trying to figure out this?
Total is that.
And do we expire automatically in 3 years unless you renew, is that how?
2 years.
I got so excited when I saw the little dog tag. However, she said I could get one, but I'd have to change my number. And I almost have it memorized. Have you seen it, you guys?
Well,
You just put it on your keychains. You don't always have to hunt for your card.
Well, that's cool.
I didn't know that.
But you get a new card.
Yeah, you get both, but yeah, it would be a new.
Julia, just smile and say, hi, I think you know me, and they go, yes. That's one advantage of being on the board, you don't have to show your card,
Okay.
they can find you.
Jen, if you just use electronic services, do you still have to renew?
Yeah,
Okay.
and you have to have a certain type of membership too. So if you're a non-resident, we don't charge for a non-resident membership. But when you're a non-resident, you do not get access to digital resources. And you do not get access to technology loans. So you can use tech in the library, but you can't take it out.
Okay.
And I just think that's so progressive because all the other libraries, they won't.
Deal with you.
Yeah.
You can't even
You
pay.
have to, yeah, anyway. Okay, and yeah, did you have other questions, Ray?
I'm just looking ahead, media metrics, which is also quarterly, that's the public computer use and Wi-Fi, is, like it's social media usage or is it technology usage? Because media usage sounds to me, how many times did we put stuff out in the media? So it may just be missed.
Yes, and that is included, media.
So you're asking about the,
What does the media metrics actually mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because it might not mean what people assume the media metrics means.
Means social media reach and number of mentions or articles. And reach is clicks.
Yeah, it's a couple of different things,
Where's
which I
the-
should also include in
Yeah.
the report as a description.
Can you pull it up on there? Because I'm not finding it in my papers here.
Yes, where we actually,
sorry.
right here under awareness.
Awareness.
So this could either be changed to media metrics
Mhm.
to align with,
Yeah.
unless we come up with a
Or
better,
media metric / awareness, if,
Yeah, or you just put awareness bracket media metrics. Cool.
yeah, that's probably the better thing.
And as long as it matches whatever's on the.
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
Thank you.
I like media metrics. I think and I can't think of a word that would describe it better, but would you like me to keep awareness as well?
It could be,
I'm a purist, so
Okay.
you shouldn't call it awareness, it should just be media metrics.
I kind of think that
Yeah,
too.
media
Okay,
metrics.
so
yeah.
change awareness to media metrics. Okay, that makes sense.
I think you could call public engagement, whatever.
I just realized as well, we say that we're reporting on programs, but we only, like, actual number of programs.
But it's just participation.
It's just the participation, so I think we just need to add in the number of programs.
Still, this is really good.
Oh,
work.
it's awesome. It's just more, yeah, because it is, both things are really important.
Yeah,
The number there as well as the people.
well, I just mean, even with the tweaks, it's excellent work on largely
That
you
is
and
working.
Jen.
Sorry, I should add, you want both the participation and the number of programs?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, and I do have that on hand, I'll just have to add it in. And Lori, do you want me to make those updates before tomorrow?
No, that's okay. She asks questions, I will be able to answer them now.
If there are any questions too at the council table, because I personally was really proud of the work that the board did on this reporting structure, I did share it with the director of strategic initiatives, so he knows how we report back to our board, so that he can kind of consider that for the council.
Can you go to the next? What is an incident?
Sorry?
We can say incident reports.
Safety incident.
Yeah, so it's all encompassing of either staff or a member of the public. So if we have any sort of incident related to health and safety or respectful public interactions.
Okay.
So anything that's actually formally documented.
It'd be great underneath just to say, I think that's really important, health and safety and
Yeah,
public,
because I think it was just health and safety incidents, but it wouldn't.
Public interaction.
public interactions, thank you.
So yeah, just put a little definition of what incident means. It's nice to see Q2 is 0.
I know.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think as well, just a note to add, which it just wasn't mentioned in here, it's the participatory collaboration with the town on the 2026 budget book. So just again,
I think that'll show up.
provided,
Will I do that in Q? Oh, wait.
well, just because we've already did the draft, right?
Yeah.
So we've pulled all that information together for them. It's just.
I maybe worded that in here, but it might have been a little too broad.
Oh, it might be I missed it.
I think I did
So
put
Jim,
that.
if you go back to your chart with organizational excellence, so incidents is only gonna be done annually. But I like the quarterly.
Quarterly looks good.
Well, yeah, and it's hard to have something quarterly under organizational excellence.
Cause you have it as an annual report, but you have it down there quarterly, right?
Oh, so just add quarterly.
So just change that quarterly. No,
Yeah, she has to.
Yeah,
put it down
sorry.
beside.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like the quarterly, even if it's 0. That was good.
Okay. So that is our statistical report. And now we're moving into the action plan status, which
Was
is
there-
what I thought might be, like, cause I guess the intent is to put the annual plan as at the front of the statistical report, but then you have to do it again for the action plan quarterly review, action plan status. So is that duplication?
But this doesn't change. These are just the initiatives. They're not
Oh.
where we are. Oh, yeah, this is just a quarterly review. This is being.
Yeah, I was just thinking about,
Oh, I
I
see.
saw the same thing in two different areas, and I was wondering if there's a way to further streamline it, or are you okay? Basically, it's you,
Yeah,
Jen.
it'll only seem that way when the quarterly report comes to the board, if that makes sense. Like, some of the information is similar, but it's not. I don't think it's
Okay,
I don't think it duplicates.
Yeah, so this
Alright.
page never changes. This is each quarter a more detailed summary. So you've got the numbers, then this is the more detailed information under each of these actions.
right.
Yeah, so it was more to have
Okay, as
everything.
long as you're good, I can cope with.
It does feel like it's repeating for sure, but it's also so you know when you're here, what you're reading, what,
Yeah, okay,
yeah.
all right. Yeah,
And the only thing that has changed well, there are a couple of things, I guess. I did mark, number 2, yellow, increased use of land services.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I don't
Wait,
think,
where's that?
she was asking about the detailed pages we were still on the Q2 summary.
my apologies.
So, yeah, so it was more of those pages, yeah.
Oh,
That's where-
here.
Yeah,
Wait.
Yep.
Hold on a minute. The statistical report, okay, we should say statistical. That's this,
it's
and it
everything.
has this,
It has that. It has
all of that,
all of the numbers. And
yes.
then it goes into, because what Jen was doing on a monthly basis was only was more detailed information, and we realized we really only needed it quarterly. So this is just the numbers. Then we have, okay, under each initiative, here's some key things that happened in the quarter. And then the last pages are the lovely, really great summaries of,
Right.
statements and things.
Where's
So all of this is the
I
quarterly
lost
report.
the one-page colored. report.
Yeah, so that's
Where's
where we're
that?
at today. That's good.
Okay,
It's not included in there.
It's
It's a separate
separate.
document.
Just looks the same colors, same.
oh, this is still,
That's the
Typically,
whole thing.
this is the statistical report?
That's the whole.
yeah.
So it's not just stats.
Yeah.
So it's,
Okay, well, yeah, so that's where I'm getting mixed up then.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it talks about
Okay.
the
I know
entire
I
report.
have statistical, so it's quarterly statistical reports.
Well, it's more than that, it's
so there's also
also,
action plan. up.
Yeah,
yeah, so it's really our quarterly reporting,
yes,
which is what you've got.
yes.
But on the agenda, it's called statistical, and then I saw action plan status, and I thought, why are we doing the same thing twice? That's all, yeah,
Oh,
yeah, okay,
thank you.
all right.
So
This
you
is
could
the quarterly
include
report.
this page in your quarterly report and then the detailed pages after it.
Well, no, because she only,
Mhm.
The only reason this didn't come at the very beginning, this meeting, was because we had those 2 presentations.
Mhm.
So
okay,
typically, this would be the very first thing that the board would talk about after approving.
To be technical, this would be the action plan monthly summary.
Right.
This is the monthly summary, and then the quarterly report is literally lumping everything together that happened in the quarter.
Got
Okay.
got it,
Yes, there is some repetition,
all right.
But this
time
monthly,
frame- but the time
this
frames
is
are different.
all we want to see. monthly.
all we want to see
Yeah.
monthly.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
That
okay,
makes sense.
so now we have moved on to the.
Sorry.
That-
We still have to-
But the quarterly report, is that something that's gonna get shared with council?
It can be,
Cause I think it's really impressive.
Yeah, I think I love your one point about meeting, whether it's our individual ones, or are you suggesting that Jen make the presentation and just
Oh,
share?
no, I was thinking it goes into their package.
Oh,
Maybe if we send the
we could,
minutes.
it's easy, yeah, we just send the
Oh,
minutes,
yeah.
but I could send,
Mhm.
I don't know if at any point it would be repetitive, because when I do the annual report, it'll be
It'll pull them all together.
mashing them all
Yeah.
together, so it might be more useful for board members for the quarterly meetings. I don't know, I'm happy
I
to share
kind
it.
of like the idea of sharing it. I mean, if they read it great. If they don't, they don't. But it does, because it is, it's just happened, and it might inform some other things that are going on.
But let's tweak the words that we did
Yeah.
before, because they will be like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Maybe I should get a new copy for my meeting.
Yeah, I think so.
yeah. And then if she has questions, I can tell us, if she doesn't understand something, we may need to add another.
Mhm.
What time is your meeting tomorrow?
9.
Okay. So,
Were there any other
so we'll be
questions?
back in the quarterly? We're still in the quarterly?
You were moving on, so we just had that quick question.
Pardon?
Oh, you were planning on moving on.
Yes.
It's
I
great.
do-
I love the patron feedback. Yeah.
And this particular comment on our Pride event,
Mhm.
I wanted to point that out because
Which one was it?
the very first comment, the kids and myself loved this. Such a heartwarming feeling as a queer parent being able to bring the kiddos to events like this in our town.
That was such a great event.
We got 0 public backlash, never had to implement a safety plan. It was, I think it said a lot about our community that day.
Yeah.
That was the only, I mean, there were a lot of wonderful comments.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's hard. Whoa, which one do you pick? Like, I could have done like 5 pages, but anyway. So for this, are we ready to?
Yes, I think so.
So I did change the color of number 2 under empowering services to yellow, increased use of glam services, and I just wanna be, I don't know how the renovations are going to affect our use of space. So I just wanted to flag that.
I love seeing some yellow.
I did wanna highlight
Not
that.
like, oh, not red.
I did wanna highlight that the charitable status application has been completed. Yay! I submitted it, I did submit it in August, probably mid-August. So I'll just monitor the status and see how that goes and report back, but it's done.
And then, sorry.
Yep.
No, you keep your comments on.
Just. It's so hard too, because of all the things that have happened since Q2, I need to put my mindset in, okay, well, this is beyond Q2. I think that's really those are really the only 2 items I wanted to highlight.
So, the multi-year strategic plan, and that was, we had it as Q3, in terms of delivering the multi-year plan and, funding sources. Sort of as the actual task. So I just have a question about timing. Like, do you feel, I know, cause you're working hard with the finance team. Do you think that's where, like, end of the year?
I think that's realistic. Whether it'll be, I think I will have everything I need to put together a detailed staff report. That will include, actually, the only reason I didn't change that to yellow 2 is I felt all of the other items were in progress and will be done by the end of the year. But part of that will be, like, for the 2026 budget, we've been working really closely with the town's finance team. And then I still need to set up a meeting with finance to go over reserves. But I do feel confident that I'll have enough information to develop a multi-year strategic plan. It just might not be this big, beautiful document. It would just be what the board needs in writing.
I was gonna say, eventually it's just understanding, this is where we think we're going, and this is where, yes, we still, because there are questions about whether we still have this fund or that fund or et cetera, so.
Yeah.
That's, it doesn't have to be pretty. Great. It's not, so if we'll just move on to a Q4 delivery. Great.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, now we're over back to you, Jen, for a couple of verbal updates on their community hubs. ARPA.
I don't have a ton of information to share. I did give the board a heads up that Collingwood's report ended up going to their council earlier than ours. Our report will go to committee of the whole on October 6th. So I'll be working with Ryan on that report. I don't anticipate there will be any major implications on the library's end of things. Will the recommendation be to include the library should council decide to continue to investigate the project? Yes.
So
But in terms of our,
on October 6th, the internal group of which you are a part will be making a recommendation to council?
it will be Ryan's staff report in I'll be listed as a
Consultation.
in consultation with, but essentially, because council received the report from the consultants with their recommendation, but staff haven't come back
With
with theirs, and so this will be when council needs to make a decision on whether or not they wanna move to phase 2 of the project and what that will look like. But the staff recommendation, at least what I can share with the board right now, will be to continue to work with the library board.
What about with Collingwood? You don't know.
Well, Collingwood's recommendation was very broad, and essentially the next steps for Collingwood are to investigate location within the town's boundary, or along the town's boundaries. So it doesn't specify specifically in the town of the Blue Mountains. So I think that will really be our council's decision on, do they wanna sort of mirror what Collingwood's doing, or do they wanna go in a different direction? But either way, if we're continuing to explore a multi-use recreation facility, if that's council's direction, then town staff will be recommending that the library be included in that part of the process.
What does that mean? Does that mean that it will be another library site?
Not
Versus this?
necessarily.
So that might mean that this library gets shut down.
No,
I think, yeah,
no, can I just go, like, so here's the thing, right, is at the end of the day, you know, now it's unfortunate how much time, I mean, it's great that Jen was part of it, but it's unfortunate for the amount of time that was gone into it, the end result. And the consultants, like, they dropped the ball, like, I don't wanna get too deep into it, but they twisted it around, like, it was a joint feasibility assessment. That's what it was a joint feasibility. We went together to pay for this, you know, to take a look at this. There was never, ever any implication that we were gonna be partners in building anything or operating anything together. That was never on the table as far as we councils were concerned. Because we also invited Grey Highlands, Meaford, and somebody else. So,
I think too.
no, not Wasaga, because Wasaga's too far over. We just went within our own circle. So, and the others said no, right, or pass. But if they had said yes, that means the price would have been lower. But that doesn't mean that 5 municipalities would fund building something like that. And then the next part is phase 2 would be, where does the 80, 90, or $100 million come from to build the facility that they're talking about? We don't have it, right? We don't have the 10 to 20. This is what was most embarrassing. They said they identified, which is great, right? Now we know this, we've got it. We need 10 to 22 acres to build said facility on. Nobody owns 10 to 22 acres in the region or in the portion of the town. Neither of us do. Neither Collingwood wouldn't own land in our municipality per se. We don't own that much land. So what are we talking about here?
So what we've determined is, yes, the community would like a multi-use facility.
That's right. And
Yes,
frankly,
they would like it within 15 minutes of where
Yep.
they live.
Yep.
And yes, Craigleith seems to be
The ground sport.
geographically the best area.
Yeah, we got
And
3
now we
things
go
out of
from
it.
there. Oh, and we know what they'd like to have in it.
Yeah.
We know
We know roughly what's supposed to be in it. But we don't have that, we don't have the money, we don't have the plan for the money.
So that's the next step for councils. Now that we know that.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess I was reading the article in Collingwood today,
Yeah, I read that too.
and I guess what they've asked is to find the land, so they don't get into the same issue they did with the arts center, because they didn't have that.
Well, that Collingwood's got its own $100 million worth of things to spend in the next decade anyways. But, yeah,
But it
so,
was to find land within the boundaries of Collingwood,
yeah,
so.
Or along.
they weren't particularly pleased to hear that both communities said, put it there. Collingwood Council was a bit taken
Yeah,
aback by that. That's not our problem. That's what the people said. Go with what the people said, right? Now we know what location, we know, property amount.
I mean, what's positive about it is that the council knows that community sports supports
Yeah.
this type of facility somewhere.
But at the end of the day, who pays for it? That's a law.
They won't like it if taxes go way up.
Exactly.
Well, I know my neighbors wouldn't be too pleased.
No.
We want it, but we want it close, but we don't want to pay for it.
Wow,
Well, it also could lead to a total, just a different strategic
this-
approach to how you provide services and what you provide.
yeah,
Doesn't have to be in
There's
one
lots. It
building.
doesn't, yeah, I mean,
no,
Where did this idea come from though? Like, how did we end up,
coming up with this giant
thing?
thing,
That sort of,
community services. Come up with this, because from their leisure activities plan, it was identified through the leisure activities plan that was done in
2020 or 2021.
20 or 21. Back last term, they identified, hey, this is something that you should look into. So they said, well, we identified this in our leisure activities plan. So now we've done it.
Yeah, if we want to save on consulting fees, maybe we can get somebody else who might want to do a similar study.
okay.
And if we want, yeah, exactly. We want to save, we would partner with
The good
them.
news is, we are moving forward with our own space utilization.
Yeah,
We know.
There's still this little tidbit of Craig Leaf as a potential.
Yeah.
The fire hall.
I think the other good thing too, if I'm not speaking
Yeah.
of it, is that should there be conversations about a multi-use recreation facility, whether it's with Collingwood, without Collingwood, down the road, whatever, the library will be included in
Yeah.
that discussion.
And the community has said that that's.
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's
great.
Okay.
So there's a few pros to pull out of it, but at the end of the day, that consultant was not well prepared. They did not present well. End of story, sorry.
Lessons learned.
I
Lessons.
do think too, well, now this is me always, I'm trying to put a positive spin, is now I think we're in a really good position where even town staff are putting us in their brains when they're doing
Yeah.
long-term municipal
Yeah.
planning. So even if something like this ever happens, it's not gonna happen in 3 to 5 years. Okay, but should it, we won't be forgotten.
That's
hopefully.
right. And now they know too that they're not gonna try and pull this, well, as a guest, you can be our guest.
Yeah.
And we forgot to tell you, we're having a meeting tomorrow at 9 o'clock. You be our guest, right, or whatever. That's done. We're past that.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's the first time at a municipal level, the library's shown up in a report as a recommendation.
Yeah.
So we're kind of raising both the staff perspective, but also the council.
Prison profile.
But also with Jen being on the committee, we've been able to establish more working relationships with more of the town staff. We still have a goal of putting in with the senior staff, but
Well, and that was largely board advocacy that got me on that committee, so thank you to the board.
Right.
Okay.
so
Thank you, Jen. Youth Climate Action Fund, you talked a little bit about the workshop that you went to.
Yeah, it was great. Nicholas Cloet, the town sustainability coordinator, facilitated and led the entire thing. It was just a matter of, I showed up, I was there, the mayor was there, we got to, so we were basically hosting a workshop here, simultaneously with the county, in Owen Sound, and there were some projects that were funded in that area, so they, had some of the project participants present. We also had high schools on the call, so it was a very hybrid, sort of in-person mash of everybody. But it was really well attended, and it's really nice to be in a room and see young people lead something and talk about the work that they do, and they're so proud of it, and it was just a very intimate way to connect with youth across Saugeen, so that was good. And hopefully I'll be getting back into the high school for strategic planning with the community.
All right,
But that's really all I have to report on that.
okay, and space utilization?
So we're in the process of, I was really hoping I could announce who we'll be working with. We're just in the process of receiving all of the documentation we need from the proponent, I guess is the term. So I think we're still well on track timeline wise. We need the insurance, we need you know, all of that stuff behind the scenes. And initially I thought that I would need the board chair's signature to bind the contract. I think that's what I talked to you about. But, I can reveal that the proponent that we may be working with came in under budget. And so the budget was, below sort of what. Anyway, our finance policy says up to a specific amount, the CEO can bind the contract, so I didn't have to get your signature, just so you know. So that's pending. As soon as we get all of that, obviously I'll reveal it to the board. But we did get a lot of really strong proposals.
That's
The
great.
evaluation process was hard.
How many did you get? You say, roughly?
I think I can.
I'd be careful.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can reveal
Okay.
that.
But it was a good number.
Yes.
Good, excellent.
Yes, and I should have said this while Phil was here, but he was so helpful, on the evaluation committee, just that technical expertise, even some of the questions that were coming through, like he even mentioned today, I don't know if he said class D, I don't know, someone asked a question, I had no idea what that meant, so he had to teach me what all of that meant. But he had a very different perspective when he was evaluating the proposals. So he, Elisa and I were sort of the team, and then obviously purchasing helped with our workbooks and whatever else. But it was, a really big learning process, but it was good.
And question on timing, so the initial had like November 20th as an interim report, was there any,
November or,
and then we had finally December 31st?
yeah,
Are we, like, would anybody have an issue with our timing or no? Okay,
not yet.
okay, great.
I imagine I'll be able to announce it tomorrow. I just haven't, everything's been sent out. They've been given my contact information. I'm just waiting.
Wait until it's official.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fair.
yeah. But I think
That's okay.
timeline-wise, we're on track. And
Excellent.
And is there still a motion going to the board about joining the council about
Yes.
releasing funds?
yes, so I had to wait. Actually, I'll explain this to the board because it was a bit of a backwards process. Like typically, we would have planned for the space utilization study and funded it through our 2025 budget, but it came after. So at the July meeting, the board passed the motion to request up to a specific amount from a reserve. It has to go to council. I had to wait until today when the July minutes were approved before I can send them to council. So after today, I'll send it to council. And then obviously I'll be in contact with you and I'll talk to Karina about pulling it.
Okay,
And there's a few other things that I'll talk to you about before that meeting. But should for any reason council says, nope, you can't access that money, there are other sources. I would just have to come back to the board to get a motion for that. But should we be okay, council approves, then we're good to go. And then I can just update the board on the updated amount that's left in that reserve.
Well, they don't usually get paid until they've started too. I mean.
Yeah, I don't have any concerns at this
Yeah, it's just
point
the-
about,
Yeah,
that's not the issue.
no.
We gotta get,
Where they're coming from.
we might as well utilize those funds, if they're
Yeah.
just sitting there doing nothing.
yeah.
Great.
Okay, thank you. All right, now moving on to F4, verbal update on our 30th anniversary. celebrations.
Yeah, as you all know, we've got our webpage up. I don't know if anyone had a chance to look at the
Register or
website.
something?
I can pull it up if you haven't. You just give me a moment here. Okay, perfect. I'm sharing my screen so I can pull this up first. So on our website, under events and programs, we have 30th anniversary celebrations. Since I sent out the initial email, we did add this special event on book banning with Ira Lulls. So if you haven't registered, register now. Yeah, we have already 20 people registered for the event, and we haven't done any active, like super active promotion. But Ira does teach at U of T, and he released a book on book banning and the history of censorship just this past February. So it's a new book. I'm reading it right now. But we do have both physical and digital copies available through the library. We will be selling books. We've partnered with Jessica's Book Nook for that event, and Ira will be there to do some signing as well. So that'll be pretty exciting. The only other thing that was added is our December art show. And so formerly the Marsh Street Artists, they're now called the Bay and Valley Artists. That's their new name. They're doing, it's their time to do an exhibit. And so their theme is they're gonna try and make every piece a 30 by 30, kind of playing on the 30th anniversary celebrations, which is kind of fun. So I don't know, the board may, if any of you can come to that reception, it'll be on Saturday, November 29th from 2 to 4. I'll probably, typically Bev introduced the artists as the chair of the ACC, but whether it's me or Bev, one of us will say a little bit of a speech about our 30th as well at the art opening.
Great.
The coloring books, I saw the draft, so we should have them soon. They're being printed and they look really cute, but we don't have them just yet. But we will announce that on social media and wherever else when we get them in.
Looks great.
Right.
I got to plug in at council too.
Oh, yes, thank you,
Good.
thank you. It'll be good. I did send, well, you obviously know this or something, but I did send a private invitation to council specifically for the book banning event as well.
That's good.
In addition to, they have the whole lineup too. And the CAO.
Okay, thank you. Round table. So there's some
I have a
updates.
quick roundtable item.
Okay,
It's July.
all right. You wanna go, Carol?
Sure. So my husband sits on the board of Marsh Street Center. And he and Lynn, who also sits on the board, went to council and they did a presentation on his what the Marsh Street Center is. But I think there was a request from council to look at a partnership between the library and the Marsh Street Center on Women's Week.
I don't remember that.
Speakers or something. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that.
Like International Women's Day,
Yeah.
maybe?
Yeah, I don't know. Would the library be interested in doing that or should I have someone from
Yeah,
Marsh Street contact you?
Would have been,
Yes.
it wasn't finalized. It might have been just a.
Because he said one of the councils, the councilman, he thought it was June quarter meeting, when respond, said that there'd be an excellent opportunity for the two to partnership together.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I'll say that, we're open.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And I would put them in contact with Emma. Like, they can always be put in contact with me too, but I'll just end up putting them in contact with
Yeah.
Emma.
That's her job.
But yeah,
Okay.
I think that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we don't have anything formalized to my knowledge for international. We always do something, but if a community partner reaches out, absolutely.
I've got a meeting with the Collingwood Working Group on Monday.
With the Craig Leaf working group?
Sorry.
Oh my God, it was like, what, meeting? Are you doing an end run?
Sorry, Craig.
That's a traitor.
Right.
Right, okay.
I'm gonna put that in the next meeting.
Okay, that's excellent. Okay. All right, shall we talk about the key messages? Fire chief and coordinator. I would just say we met to clarify,
For the first time in 30 years.
to,
About the celebration.
Celebrate.
It's good.
yeah,
It's,
I'll include those update too, washroom stuff.
Yep, that-
I'll use similar language that
Yeah.
I've used in.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think the strat planning, what do we say about that too?
And we're just undertaking it.
We,
We're well underway and.
yeah,
the
this,
board is supportive of the work the committee's doing.
yes.
Well, I've been initiating youth consultation this fall.
Mhm.
Because it was-
Yeah.
Same thing. Yeah.
And maybe tying in the launch with our 30th anniversary, or
Yeah, I can throw that in
just,
there. And I'll have to, so now that I have sort of the board, we're all on the same page. I will eventually update sooner than later, the 30th anniversary webpage, so that I'll include some sort of, I have to figure out either if I'm gonna tie something into one of the events that are already happening. It could be Ken's at the very end, the soiree where he's doing like a blast from the past sort of talk. I could throw something on the end of that and need to talk to Emma, or I might have to organize something separately. I just have to give it a bit more thought, and maybe we could talk about that
Back
more.
to the
with the
future,
committee.
Back to the Future, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we have anything really to say about Martha. Do we?
I can put that the staff report will be going to committee of the whole on October 6th,
Okay.
something like that.
Well, I guess, oh, sorry, I skipped over. We should talk about, we reviewed our Q2 quarterly,
Yeah.
quarterly report. Would we have a link to that in the key messages? Once they're updated or no?
I can do that.
That's a good idea.
I think so.
Once I make
Yeah.
it, yeah. I can do
Okay.
that.
And what about, maybe mention the climate action workshop?
Yeah, I can, yeah,
Space utilization. Maybe not, because it's not official yet.
But if it's known by the time you publish, because you're not gonna get this done tonight, you think you might know by tomorrow?
I might, hard to say. But if it's key messages from the meeting, right?
Yeah. Maybe just, we anticipate, an announcement, shortly as to the launch of the space utilization study. Maybe just,
For the engineer.
so they know it's on our agenda.
I'll even project kickoff later this month.
Yeah, yeah. And then the 30th anniversary. Planning's well underway. Here's the link to the,
Webpage, the activity.
okay, anything else? Oh my God, it's 10:02.
Good meeting you.
Right, I'll move it.
Motion to adjourn?
No,
Wait.
for the key
Oh,
messages.
sorry, I got too excited.
Yeah.
Yes, may I have a mover?
I'll move it.
I'll second.
And seconded by Joanne, all in favor? And carried. Our next meeting is October 16th. And now may I have a motion to adjourn at 3:49. Sean, seconded
Oh.
by Carol.
Actually, this was a new change. We don't actually need a motion.
We don't?
No, I can just declare that the meeting.
Okay, I adjourned the meeting at 3:59,
Oh.
49.